Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the roll call show that everybody's present and we have a quorum. Can I have approval of the agenda or any additions?
I move we approve the agenda with the modification of placing Jim Gores under appearances by citizens. After, or put it after number 7 on the agenda. After approval of bills and minutes.
Okay, it's the motion, or is there any other additions to the agenda?
What was the other one? Permits. What was it?
Permits for the vendors for the business licenses.
Oh, yeah.
For the
We need to amend it for the vendor's license. For
Shoshoni days.
Shoshoni days.
We have 2 additions for the vendors for Shoshoni days. It needs to be added to the added to the agenda also. So we have two amendments to the agenda is to move Gordon Associates presentation on our PER and our phase 1 water study. After number 7, the consent agenda, and also 2 business permits for Shoshoni days.
Yeah, for the vendors.
For the vendors for Shoshoni days. Can I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and then we make the additions as stated. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passed unanimously. Move on to any communication from citizens at this time? Please. Yeah, please come up, identify yourself and
Yes, sir. Kinley Clabroth. I wrote it out to be more concise. May I begin?
please do, Ken.
Thank you, Mayor. Esteemed members of the council and Mr. Mayor, Chief, my name is Kinley Clabroth, and I would like to bring a matter of grave importance to your attention. I live on West First Street across from the skating rink and city burn pile. About a month ago, the city burned said pile. This in itself is not an issue. The problems arose when the city failed to properly extinguish the fire and left an 8-foot tall mountain of burning embers. My wife and I were forced to suffer with awful smoke blowing into our home on a daily basis. On May 24th at 8:49 a.m., I phoned City Hall and spoke with the lady about this still smoking pile. She directed me to Buddy, the head of maintenance. I called him with the cell phone number she provided. I spoke to him at 8:53 a.m. on May 24 for approximately 1 minute 23 seconds. I told him my issue and informed him of the near constant smoke, which was starting to make my wife and I ill. He assured me it would be handled shortly. The city maintenance yet again failed to extinguish these still burning mountain of embers. Today, 15 days after speaking with City Hall and Buddy, we were met with the consequences of their willful negligence. A little after 3 p.m., my wife and I smelled a strong smoke odor. I walked out to investigate and was greeted by 25-foot tall flames a mere 50 yards from my home. There were 45 to 55 mile an hour wind gusts blowing hot embers and terribly hot flames directly at my home. I phoned 911 immediately. Thank God there was a quick response. I walked across the street with a responding officer to help render assistance. A couple of minutes later, several city employees showed up on scene to help extinguish the now large fire. When they arrived, one particular member of this city was extremely unprofessional and made a laughing joke to the officer standing next to me about someone freaking out and calling in saying the neighborhood was burning down. I found this completely unavoidable fire to not be funny in the least. The city willingly put not only my home at risk, but the lives of my wife and I at risk as well. This failure to extinguish the fire, which, as Chief knows, is required by law for all citizens, should be met with the most serious of consequences. Again, 15 days after I spoke with the head of maintenance, I officially request the pile be moved from near West First Street and not be lit again until there are competent, responsible city employees, because it is not them who will pay the ultimate consequence, but innocent members of the community. I will close with this. I ask you, who will pay to remove a month's worth of smoke damage and smell out of my home? You? The maintenance department, which is ultimately responsible for this debacle? No, it will be me. Just like it will be me watching the still smoking pile of embers in front of my home. Thank you.
Kenley, just 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to say that we will investigate and look into this, and we will have a discussion with town employees, and we won't ignore this. We'll look into it. I appreciate you coming forth and speaking.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Any other communications from the audience?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is Gary Landrum, and I want to also second the emotion for Kinsley, because I live right next door to Kinsley, and that smoke has been there every night for about 2 to 3 weeks, and it is bad. I don't know if we can move it outside of the town, or if they can just completely put it out, but that smoke is a bothersome, not only to him, but to everybody around in that area. But there was something else I was wanting to bring forth to the council. I lived here about 4 years. I just want to see if I could address the town here to see if I could get a light paid for. I've been paying for it. I've been paying for the city light for the last 4 years. And I live on the very end, and which is dark over there. And we do have some kids walking the neighborhood and stuff like that. So instead of being in the complete dark, I called the power company, and I had a light that was in the back. So the power company took that light off, and they told me to cut down that power pole and to cut down the other power pole. So I'm going to cut them 2 down. And they put the light on the other side of the street. So I'm paying for the light for everybody. And I was wanting to see if I could get some help with it.
Where did they put the power pole?
Okay, the power pole was already there, because I asked them if they would put me a power pole up in my yard. And at the time they said no, they wanted to put it. Now I live on the corner, so it's going to be straight across the street. Over there at that trailer, there's a trailer across the street. I believe that lady's a EMT over there.
I guess, who owns the property for the power pole?
City. It's on city property. Because the city owns, right? Because the city owns what, 14 feet on each side from the center?
I mean,
Or rather 30
has
feet,
an
right?
easement, has an easement.
Right, yes. So
You're saying the power
I
pole?
live on the right as you come into town.
Okay.
I'm the very last one. So the power pole is all the way on the left.
So the power poles they took down was on your property.
But, well, they told me that power pole wasn't no good for me to, there's 2 power poles in my yard, and they told me to cut both of them down.
But
Because they
but
said
they're on your private property.
right,
Yeah, so, yeah,
But the-
whatever you want to do.
But the one that they put up is on the other side. But that power pole was already there. They just stuck the light there. So, but what I'm asking is to ask the city, because there's street lights up, going all the way down the street. There's one on the corner before you get to mine, but there's not one on my corner, and it is very dark over there.
We'll look into it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just want to
we'll
see
look into
if I
it.
could get some
And
help.
I'll
And the bill-
talk with the power company.
And the bill's not that much. It's not like $10, $11 a month. I know, but I've been paying it for the last 4 years. So I just want to see if I can get some help,
You've been paying what?
I've been paying for that light.
That's moved on city property?
I've been paying since it's been on city property for 18 months. Yes, sir.
Like I said,
It's on my power bill. I can show it to you.
yeah, well, like I said, we'll investigate it. Obviously, we weren't aware of it.
Okay.
And if it's on city property.
Well, yeah,
it should have been.
Well, the power company told me to call y'all and stuff, and I've been kind of tied up right now. I've got a garden and
Sure.
just all kind of stuff. So
We'll investigate.
Okay.
No problem.
that's all I ask.
Appreciate it.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for coming.
Thank you.
Any other communications from citizens? Don't be bashful. None being, consent agenda. And a motion to approve the minutes from May 2021.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes for May 25th, 2021. Any discussion, additions, deletions? Corrections? If none being, all in favor, say aye for approval.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Approval of the bills, May 26, 2021. From April 8th, from April 8th, 2021, is that correct? Oh, I didn't.
Change. June.
Yes, it says June 8th.
Okay, it should say June 8th. Okay, that's what I thought. May 26, 2021, June 2021.
Excuse me.
Have a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Do we have any further discussion? None being, all in favor say aye to approve the bills. May
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed unanimously. Let's move forward. Presentation from Gores and Associates on, we're going to have two presentations. That correct? The phase 1 water study and the preliminary engineering report on the sewer line on the west side of town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. To get ourselves kind of oriented here, maybe to address both the audience and you folks, we'll move over here. To begin with, I'd like to pass around a sign-up sheet for you folks and the public, please. And there's two separate sign-up sheets here. If you make sure each of you sign one. You can pass around a pencil with it if it needs. If not, we've got one that can go with it.
What did these my names or?
Just your name and the information there. Give us your mailing address if you would, and obviously from Shoshoni, and phone number, email address if you have one, just so that we can stay in touch with you and get you any subsequent information that comes out regarding either the water master plan or the preliminary engineering report.
Get on your intentions that the public that's here.
Correct.
To give
Yes.
them information directly, so they just don't have to get it from the town.
Right. Or you can get with us on any questions that may occur to you. Let us also pass around, and I'll just pass these around. We've got some guidelines for what we're going to be discussing this evening. And whatever's left over there, we can hand out public in general to follow along with.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Jeff and I will kind of go back and forth here as we go through our presentation. And we'll try and make it as brief as possible. We may not get into all the details that we have lined out here for this evening, but in basic terms, your water system, and that's what we'll talk about first, is in serviceable condition. But there's quite a few things that need to be corrected to keep it that way in the future. In all, you're looking at about, let's see, let me get the number right, about $2.7 million of improvements that you should be planning for over the coming 20 years. That's quite a bit of funding. If Wyoming's funding mechanisms remain the same as they are, that's not an insurmountable task at all. So we'll start going through some of the things that your system is going to need in future years. And if questions come up, please raise your hand and let us know. We'll answer the questions as best we can. First of all, just for system deficiencies that we'd recommend be improved, we'll get into those. And that's part of what is in the larger sheet that has the blue stripe across the top of it. One of the things in terms of recommended operational improvements, we recommend that, and this is just routine things that your maintenance staff will be doing on a regular basis. And first of all is visit each of the well sites daily, make certain that the SCADA system is functional. That's generally been done, but it needs to continue to be done. There's such things as replacing some of the meters and the bronze yokes that supports those meters. There's concern that the the water meters are aging. They've been in since about 1990 or a little earlier. And you need to develop a systematic program of just replacing those meters. One of the major things that we recommend is that the meters, your water meters, all be read and billed monthly. That hasn't always been the case, and most of you that work here understand why that has been happening. But if you can meter and bill monthly, it'll do an awful lot for the consistency of the operation and maintenance of your system. And certainly the consistency of cash flow to keep the system running. Some routine things like exercising the water valves, the mainline valves on a regular basis, flushing hydrants on a regular basis. And all of those things are things that your operations staff have been reminded of many times in their ongoing education, which they keep up with. We would recommend that you maintain the SCADA system. The SCADA system is nothing more than a fancy acronym for the electronics that keep the system operating. But that needs to be maintained and all of its functions kept operational throughout its use. Some places in the past, some of the things that quit working just got disconnected. That doesn't really serve the interests of or the security of the water system. With that, I'll let Jeff talk some about some policy improvements that we would recommend, and then we'll get into some of the more detailed aspects of what all of this is likely to cost over the years and why.
Like Jim said, I'm Jeff E. These are just policy changes, so these actually aren't going to cost any money to implement. It's just sort of the things that will have to obviously be changed with policy. One is only allow 1 meter per property. It gets really confusing when you have properties that have multiple meters. Monthly read the meters. This is a big one. Every month read the meters. And when you do so, also check that with your production from your wells so that you can compare the two. Ideally, you want what you make to equal what you use. Enforce a policy for the town's responsibility for service lines. Make sure that all individual property owners understand their obligations. Develop a policy to address the running water in winter months. However the town wants to do that, you still need to record those meters every month. You need to know exactly how much water the town is using. Enforce a policy that everybody within the town limits is using the city water. And also annex the property purchased in 2020. And the town should take ownership of the private lines that are the north side of town on California Street. Does anybody have any questions or comments about those policy changes?
Could you talk a little bit about the importance of metering the water during the winter?
Yeah, that one is really big. It is very hard to figure out exactly how much the town is spending per gallon of water. So in order for the town to know an accurate value of the water and be able to bill accordingly, you need to know exactly how much water is being used every month. Right now, they're not reading in the winter, and in the spring, you get a big spike in your meter values, and you don't know exactly where that came from. So you don't know if that was used in December or if that was used in May. All of a sudden, there's a big spike. So you need this data to be able to compare exactly what is going on every month. Did you have something else?
No, that's correct. And you need that for cash flow purposes. You ought to be getting revenue in from your water operation each and every month, rather than perhaps delaying some of that revenue getting to you. And mostly making sure that what you're billing for what's being used. And whether it's been going on or not, if we've heard some indication that maybe somebody comes in and says, well, geez, that really, how much water we used, and can we get a break on the water bill? You know, what goes through the water meter needs to be paid for. And everybody needs to be paying the same. It doesn't cost you less to produce water for one user than any other user. And, you know, trying to have side deals for what somebody pays other than somebody else really doesn't work to your advantage, and they're ultimately to theirs. It costs you X number of dollars per 1,000 gallons to get the water up out of the ground, through the tank, and down to the system here in town. And there's no sense in selling the water for any less than what that cost is, regardless of who it is in the users. So we already discussed some of the policy improvements.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
On the property you're talking about on California,
Yes.
are you talking about the people that have the wells out there? As for you were saying, you need to take control of the water.
There's two private water
Mhm.
lines that extend, they actually extend pretty far down. But they follow along California Street.
Mhm.
These were installed, and we are not exactly sure when they were installed, with unknown components.
Mhm.
And they extend all the way north up here along California Street and go
Going all the way
almost
to
to
the
the
end?
border, all the way to the end, almost to the north end of town.
Well, we don't have city water that runs out that far though, do we?
You do not.
How do we enforce people on that end of town when they don't have sewer and water, and now we're gonna control their water?
Well, so the thing is you right now have lines hooked up to your city system
Mhm.
that you cannot verify their integrity. And you cannot verify that they're not doing anything negative to your water system.
I believe there was water lines, and I heard rumors that they were undersized. They don't meet town code. They were put in privately, and
Was it before town code?
Oh, no, I don't think they're that old.
Well, I know like one of the people that live out there, John Reynolds, did a lot of the water work in this town. And I think that's going to be hard for him to swallow. He's going to be paying for city services he doesn't get.
No. They're not saying forcing it.
No, that's where I'm lost.
No, but I think there's some people there's water lines out there that people are hooked into city water, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
They are hooked into, we're not suggesting people pay for a service they are not receiving.
Oh, okay. No, that's
Yeah,
right.
so,
Misunderstood.
yeah,
Okay.
please, if
Okay.
that's what you understood, I messed up.
No, I just probably misunderstood.
The
Okay.
lines weren't installed.
No, if you're getting, yeah, no,
by the
I'm
city.
good with that. No, that's fine.
It's just an extension that they did back. I heard rumors about it years ago.
No, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I just misunderstood you.
Yeah.
That's correct. Ultimately, what we're really saying is that anybody that's receiving city water needs to be on the city system, not on something they themselves built and ran out there because they got approval from whomever on the city staff, or maybe no one at all. So make certain that you are in control of your system and the delivery of water from that system. And yeah, again, the side deals that might get cut, or arranged and at a time of inconvenience really doesn't help anybody. So anyway, those are policy improvements that we'd recommend, and they're listed in the report. Mayor Joel has a copy of that. We'll get each of you a copy of it if you want, and so that you can fully review it. Financial improvements that we would recommend. And this is the result of looking at your records as best we can. But we recommend that you develop what's called a sinking fund, basically a savings account for future improvements that need to be made just to keep up with things that wear out. Obsolescence replacement, we call it. It's just like owning the old 75 automobile. It can keep running, but it's going to keep costing you more, and things got to wear out, and parts aren't as available. So get a fund set up to where, and you got in part some funding set up, but that needs to be a major component of what you're doing each month, and setting funds aside to eventually be able to address a major incident if you need to, like replacing a well, for example, because you can't replace one of the wells that you have for anything less than a couple $100,000, maybe even closer to $250,000 by the time you get it in. And so, and we've got, you'll see in the report, we've got a plan laid out where you can save that money up ahead of time, and who you can go to help fund the project when it becomes necessary. We've already addressed it, but once again, make your water rates uniform across all users. No matter who you are, you all pay the same per 1,000 gallons. And that's just common sense. You can't buy anything at the grocery store for 90 cents on the dollar, or, just doesn't happen. But there's also we would recommend that you promote conservation of water by having what's called a tiered water rate. Right now you charge $27 a month, if I'm correct, for 10,000 gallons. And it's $1,000 for every 1,000 gallons after that. What we're saying is, once you get past your base rate and a normal consumption amount, you should be paying a little bit more if you're using more. So just for purposes of discussion, rather than me charging $1 for the next 1,000 gallons, let's consider charging $1.25, maybe $1.50. Then, the more you use, the more you pay. And basically what it does is remind people that excessive use is going to end up in an excessively large water bill. And it doesn't need to be punitive, but don't let people just kind of needlessly, should we say, waste water. Or in terms of the way we look at it, it turns into non-revenue water. In other words, it's water that you've gotten to produce, but you're really not getting much money out of it. The SCADA system, we've got a series of, one final thing that I really want to mention is we are recommending that you install a bulk water system, or water buffalo, whatever you want to call it, here in the system, someplace in town, so that people who want to buy bulk water or need to buy bulk water whether it's the oil industry or whomever, set up a specific unit where you can go and buy bulk water, whether it's by uh, paying, a quarter at a time or a dollar at a time in the machine, or set up a credit card system where people can come in and pay a certain amount, perhaps ahead of time, and they get so many thousand gallons of credit for it. At the town of Pavilion, for example, put one of these in, and well, they have quite a number of rural residents that use water out of their system. They actually are finding that alone is generating about somewhere near 25 to 30% of their total revenue for the system. You probably won't, you may not do that here, but it gives you the opportunity to sell water to those who would find it more convenient to get it here than go all the way to Riverton for it or something else. There's a number of recommendations that we'd have regarding the SCADA system, which is really the electronics and brains that run the system when nobody's physically out there adjusting switches or but you really, a current day system would have your entire system, just all of the wells in the tank displayed on a TV screen, perhaps much like what you have here, that shows you how much water is in the tank, which wells are running, what's the water level in those wells, just so that your operators know without having to go out there and try and check all that stuff. And it's important that that be kept operational and each of the features that are in it remain functional and it be kept up. Because that saves you a whole lot of labor and effort and lost revenue by not knowing what's going on or whatever. There's improvements that we'd recommend be made up at the storage tank. To briefly mention those, that vault can creates a kind of what's called a confined space issue. And what it really amounts to is that set of manhole steps that go down into that thing and come back up constitute a confined space. If somebody gets in there and they aren't able to get out on their own, it's difficult and can result in harm to the individual. And as all of you know that have been up there, that road up to the tank is anything but very luxurious. That needs to be cleaned up, straightened up, and graded to the point that you can get up there reliably at any time of year. And there's some other miscellaneous recommendations that the state would like to see you make, and we won't go through those. The one that we're making that may or may not be well received by everybody in the community, but that old cast iron transmission line that comes from the tank all the way into town needs to be disconnected and abandoned. All that has kind of been hung on to for reasons that we don't fully understand, as perhaps being a safety net in case something goes wrong with the other line. Well, that thing, it gets rarely used, if ever. It costs you maintenance and time to keep it functional, and it's nothing really more than a nuisance to keep track of with very little, if any, benefit. And so we'd say just get rid of it. You got a reliable newer line that comes from the tank all the way to town. Use that.
I believe, Jim.
Go ahead.
I believe that was recommended in was it the 93 or 92 water study?
Yeah.
That would be abandoned then?
Yeah,
Is that
it
correct?
was, yeah.
That's
That's what I thought.
So it's time to take the recommendation. We won't go into a lot of other things. Let's talk about well improvements, starting kind of in the sequence, which the wells put water in the system, starting with well number 2 out at the lake shore. That well is kind of an anomaly and really actually a pretty darn good well. That was drilled in 1953. It was put together with what at the time was leading edge technology. And the Bureau of Reclamation drilled that well. And they didn't spare any expenses on it. As it turns out, that well that's over 70 years old now is about your best producing well. There's problems, well, not problems with it, but there's some things that you'd rather not see, like the bottom 100 feet of that well is filled in with silt and sand, but it still produces water. So we keep on using it till it finally quits. And who knows when that'll be. There's a series of recommendations that we'd make regarding that well. The first one is replace the well house. That thing has been out there for all those years. It's in a dilapidated condition. It isn't keeping the instrumentation secure. Get a current day modern tilt up concrete well house out there with the current piping and so forth, and keep on using it. And we won't go into the particulars of what type of meter to use and so forth, but we've got recommendations in the report to cover that. The next well coming in from the lake is well number 5. It's one of the ones that was drilled in 1993. It's a very solid and functional well. It has some issues of perhaps taste and odor, and Buddy can tell us more about it than any of us. It also has some secondary issues that Buddy particularly enjoys, which is occasional rattlesnakes in the well pit, and as well as some of the piping and the valves that are in that pit are continuously flooded. That's certainly not a desirable situation. What we're recommending is that well pit be abandoned, and all of that equipment that is now underground gets put in a new well house at ground level. Get it to where you can work on it, do what maintenance you need, and keep it all in operational condition. And it's served you well for the years since '93. It's time to move on to things that are more current day. Moving on up the line, more toward the tank. Well number 6 is the next well in that series of 3 wells leading to the tank. This one has some benefits and questions as well. That to start with, the pump that's in that well now was put in '93. It served you well. There's an indication from the recent pump tests that were done that thing is running at about half the efficiency it was when it was put in, not surprisingly. So let's get that pump replaced. The other thing, a major issue with that well is that it produces some gas, which is, we think, methane, and it causes all sorts of havoc with feeding the water from that well and the other 2 that are behind it up to the tank. And that gas comes out of solution. It comes into the pipeline, kind of like, the best analogy I can come up with, like soda pop. You pull the lid off of it and you start getting into a zone of lower pressure within that pipeline, and that gas comes out of solution, and you wind up with this big compressible bubble in your line that sits there and lets the water slosh back and forth and can at times get such velocity behind it that it creates a pressure wave in that line and blows it up. And you can see several cases out there where just from the pipe that's lying alongside the trench, that thing has just exploded on you. And so Buddy and his staff wind up going out there usually in February or March, when this weather starts to warm up and the frost starting to come out of the ground. And they're out there trying to repair that line. And of course, the line breaks, and where's all the water and tank go? Right down the line into the area they've got to work on the pipe on to get it repaired. And we won't go into what fun Buddy and his staff probably have, but the crux of the issue is until that line gets repaired and things are back in service, the community is basically out of water or very close to it. You don't want to be trying to fight a fire in that situation, or take a shower or whatever. I mean, that's a major weakness in the system as it is right now. Our recommendation is that we find out what it is that's causing that. And though we think we know what's going on, we don't know what the solution is, and that needs to be scientifically studied and figured out and a solution implemented. And we've got some solid ideas of what can be done. We aren't convinced that what we think might solve the problem actually will. So before we go and spend what's likely to be something in the area of $250,000 or more to solve the problem, let's make darn sure we know how we're going to go solve the problem and get it done once and once only. And part of the problem there too may well be that line is some cases is sitting on bedrock, and it needs to be in a gravel envelope where it's cushioned and secure, not laying on bedrock. And so those are some of the things that we've noticed. I'll kind of quit with that unless you've got questions. But in all, we've come up with 7 projects that can be accomplished over the coming 20 years, basically. We would recommend starting with getting that transmission line rupture problem solved, and then work on down the line to the rest of the projects that in total are going to constitute somewhere around $2.7 million of work that's going to be that we'd recommend be done in the coming 20 years or so. So we can go into any level of detail you want, but we'll call that good for now unless you, Mayor, or this council have some questions. The 2 handouts that we handed out, they're a listing of those 7 projects and what they would accomplish and why they are recommended in the order that they are. We also have this pressure map that gives nothing more than a representation of what pressures your system will be operating under different scenarios, including just kind of day-to-day, average day flow, or if you've got a major fire like up at the school, what does that do to the system and the ability to run it? In all, there's really nothing that we find that needs to be done within town itself to keep the system fully functional. So there's, you know, you don't need additional lines or anything else to get water to any part of town. Jeff, is there anything else? No, you could add to that. And thank you folks for filling out the sign up sheets. We'll know who's here. We can stay in touch with you that way. And if any of you have questions, please give us a call. Yes.
Sir, quickly, of that 2.6 million, can you explain to me the grants, loans, all that stuff? Just quickly, how much of that will the city and ultimately the residents be responsible for? Because I see stuff about grants and loans and all that on
I think that's mostly the portion that we would expect that we expect the citizens to cover is in the right-hand column, and it's almost nothing all the way through there. That's based on the presumption that the current grant and loan funding scenario remain in place with the state of Wyoming to, in our case, you know, fund most of those things. But it doesn't mean that that's going to be able to continue, certainly once the state declines revenue. So we're not promising that in the future. I don't think it can. But if we were working on today's funding scenarios, we would hope that's about what would be funded, what proportions and by who. And you've got other funding sources that you can seek there. Wyoming Water Development Commission, because they operate on a 2/3, 1/3 basis. And the 1/3 that is listed in there would be town funds. Ultimately, you can get a loan from the Water Development Commission, I believe at a 4% rate for like 30 years for each of those projects. And we think that's absorbable, shall we say, within the rate structure that towns ultimately have operating on. So, but that's just an outline.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
No,
Mayor?
I think you explained that, you know, fairly well. You touched on loans, but loans, just like you borrow a loan for a car, you gotta
That's
pay it
right.
back.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, so, but there's, I guess, options in there who can predict the future, what they're,
Yeah.
what the funding, but we can,
And there's other agencies, like the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, you can get loans through them and so forth. What we're showing here is the best of options that are available today.
Yep.
Who knows what they'll be
Right.
next year or 3 or 4 years from now when you're working on some projects.
you know, one of the things, because of our demographics, our, you know, our kind of ruralness, our small size, that rural development and water, they look more favorable as we have a point system. They look
Sure.
favorable on communities our size, because not enough of us here to generate enough money to do everything that needs to be done. So, but it's competitive when you go after it, but anyway,
Yeah.
now they look at it as favorable to us on some of these requests.
They're not gonna bring everything to you, exactly like sit by a drive. But anyway, this is about the best that we think you can probably do given today's economic situation. We'd be happy to answer other questions you got once you get a chance to see the entire report, generate some other thoughts.
Sure.
Thank you for your time.
Were you gonna touch on
Yes.
this? Okay, there we go.
Jeff is a whole lot more familiar with that than I am.
Okay,
so
very good.
He'll read that.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yes. All right. So with the preliminary engineering report for the sewer system, basically the sewer system was just, the idea is to service the property on each side of 7th all the way down to the cemetery. The big part that we need public input on is any sort of environmental aspects that we may not have considered. They ask everything. They want to know if there's coastal waters involved. And unfortunately, there's not. I hate to disappoint you, no oceanfront property. So the big one is, are there social issues? Any sort of environmental impact that we might not have looked at? You guys know this neighborhood way better than we.
Or any.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that covered, yeah, does anybody have any concerns or issues with the project that you would like myself or the council even to be aware of?
You know, and that covers threatened and endangered species. We don't think there's any blackfoot parrots out there. You know, but seriously, the federal government supported fund projects with federal dollars. The Congress has said, you'll check these things. So we now check them. We don't find anything that causes concern, or we don't think it causes concern. But yeah, part of it, of the whole process, we got to bring in to you people, say, do you see any concern? And if you do, you know, let us know. We'll get them answered in the final report and go forward from there.
This preliminary engineering report, for anybody that doesn't know, it's required for us. We're looking at a economic development grant, which is 95% funded by the business council, 5% by the city. So round numbers, if the project cost $1 million, it would cost the city $50,000. That would make the property that the town now owns west towards the cemetery. We already have a water line running down 7th Street already. We'd have a sewer line running down. So that would enable us to more economically open that property up for homes to be built and for people to live. They're again just trying to leverage our money. What that also could do is we've talked to the Maumee Business Council. It's going to go into Maple Street. Maple Street is on our list to repair sometime in the future, replace the line in there. Currently, it's functioning without any issue, but sometime in the future that needs to be replaced. We might be able to also tie that into that 95.5 grant instead of currently it's 50/50 on our sewer line through slip right now. There's that project and another one that was on our table to do, but it was halted in the past because of the 50/50 grant. And I know we've been trying to leverage money to get a better use. Prior, we used to, a lot of the work, much of the work we got done on sewer lines in the past was 75/25. So it makes a big difference on $1 million project. That's easy numbers. So it costs the city $500,000 at 50/50. On 75/25 only costs us $200,000. So it costs us twice as much to do that. It just costs, to do the project. With this economic development, because we can tie into the economic development of the mushroom farm, tie in with that, piggyback off them. That allows us to be eligible for a 95.5 grant, and that's what got us to this point. We spent about $20,000 on this, but that $20,000 will go towards our $50,000 if it costs $1 million. That'll go towards our match. This house when we move forward. That's what got the council to this point. So we look at that, and That's why we're having this discussion. That's why we're having the TRB, because they require it. The business council require we do that before they move forward.
So there's an opportunity to get a lot more bang for your dollar. And
Isn't that Maple Street line that's probably gonna be the most expensive to upgrade? And comes next in priority repair. I know it's already deep in a lot of places.
Just at that intersection at Maple and 7th Street, the elevation is 17.5 feet below ground. That's a really, really deep sewer line.
And
So,
that's one of the older sewer lines.
yes, yeah.
So 5% repair on that thing only makes sense.
Exactly.
any other questions or comments, particularly on the environmental aspect?
And that could be anything. If people think that one group of people is being favored over another, we would need to know that too. I like to hear that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for your time. We appreciate it.
Appreciate your presentation. It's been informative. We'll be working together.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wind River Visitors Council. Please, Helen, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Helen Wilson, and I'm the Executive Director at the Wind River Visitors Council. Thank you for having me here. So the reason I'm here tonight is to get approval on our joint powers budget. I have some fun numbers for everybody. Travelers last year in Fremont County spent $115.9 million in 2020, and that's calendar year, not fiscal year. That is incredible considering we had a pandemic. Looking at the rest of the country and even the rest of the world, numbers were much more dramatic from one year to the next, and we are only down 9.1%, which is really amazing. And a lot of that has to do with the place we live. We live in a wide open space where people can enjoy the outdoors, and so people were running here. And we are expecting this year's tourist season to be huge. As you've probably already noticed, there's lots of out-of-state license plates, and we are anticipating a really, really busy summer, perhaps busier than it's been for a long time. So that's pretty exciting. Tourism provided 1,410 jobs in Fremont County and came to $48.8 million in wages. Okay. So the main things that are different with our budget this year, well, first off, we're short some money because of COVID. But other than that, we actually have a staff. In the past, the Wind River Visitors Council has outsourced everything. They had McCormick Marketing was the marketing agency, and then McCormick Marketing outsourced all of the other work. I am now the executive director, and I've hired a community engagement manager who will be coming to your events and meeting you and chatting with you. There's the possibility of hiring a third staff as well, and we put that third staff on the budget, but I'm kind of playing around with how my job and Preston's job fit in to see if we actually need that third position before just jumping in and hiring somebody. But we have budgeted for 3 staff. This is not additional money we've budgeted for. It's just moved from one part of the budget, which was outsourcing, up into a staff area. It's been really exciting figuring out how to move operations in-house, and I guess we've been doing it for about 6 months now. As far as numbers, so who here is familiar with the TAD grants? Okay, so we have TAD grants, And the way that that looks is all of the money that the Wind River Visitors Council gets, 25% of it goes to TAD grants. And what we look at is the money that is brought in the various towns. For example, Du Bois brings in, oh, got my numbers here. Du Bois brings in 33.8%, so they get back 33.8%. Shoshoni and Hudson are actually fall below what you guys would get back, so we give a flat rate that's more than if you looked at your lodging tax income. And so that this year, that number for Shoshoni is 6,000. That's up from 4,200 last year. And this is just what we are budgeting and estimating. Once again, that number could change, but we've estimated very conservatively on the whole budget and all of our numbers, just not knowing how the recovery from COVID is going to look. So with the Wind River Visitors Council, we go and we visit with all of our joint powers, say hello, meet people, and ask for the budget to be approved. So that's why I'm here tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions. Got lots of paperwork, lots of numbers, but I'll stop there and see if we can go from there.
Basically, you describe where you get your funding. You're funding from the
Lodging tax. So it comes from visitors staying in hotels, campsites, and RV parks.
And then that funds it in. You do a lot of advertising, you reach out, social media.
We do, and I can give you percentages of what we have. So our total budget we're estimating for fiscal year 2021 to 2022 is $630,050. Board expenses, $19,550. Total staff and office, and that includes benefits, rent, all that stuff. And this is for 3 staff, not the 2 that we were actually hired. $232,100. The Tourism Asset Development Program, which is the TAD funds, is $157,512. And then we spend $258,388 just marketing our amazing community. And we're hopefully going to get some additional funding this year. There's some talk about CARES funds coming in the next couple of months. I've been told that the state is getting, I just got this number, the state is getting $5 million for destination marketing organizations. We're one of them. I don't know what our breakdown of that is, but we are anticipating getting some of that and then some money later in the year through the is it ARP? Yeah, that's it. And so there could be additional money, but what we are budgeting for in this budget is the money we know we have and we know we're gonna that we have to play with it. And then the final budget item is our airport servicing, which goes to the FAST group, and they get $20,000. We did have to pull over $57,500 as a cash carryover to balance the budget because of COVID again, and we are expecting to make that up. So that's the budget. I'm hoping for an approval on it. And does anyone have any other questions?
I've got a question.
Yes.
What is the $6,000 on this town?
It's $6,000, so it goes toward grants. So what we do with all of our towns is we provide money and we give them to the Chamber of Commerce, or in Du Bois, they have a separate organization that takes that money, and then that organization distributes it to things like grants. But what we decide, so the TAD Fund is a unique program. We are the only people who do it. It's not done in other communities. And we figure that the best way for you to know how your money should be spent is to give it to your area and it's dispersed from there. So the $6,000 goes to your Chamber of Commerce and they determine who gets it through grants or town.
Why is ours so low?
Well, it's because you're not bringing in as much money through the lodging tax. So for example, I can give you the exact numbers. Du Bois brings in 33.8% of the lodging tax. Lander brings in 31.1, exactly. and Riverton 35.1%. So if we looked at your hotels, it would be much lower because it's only a percentage of your lot. It's a percentage. So what we've done is, and we've done this in the past too, is Shoshone gets 6,000, Hudson gets 3,000. If you suddenly build, I don't know, 100 hotels, which you probably don't want to, you'd get a lot more.
So what is Shoshone's percentage?
I don't actually know. How many hotels do you have? Just one. So I don't think it's even on the
So we're like
numbers.
under, so if DuBois is 33%, we're under 1%. Would that be?
Oh,
the
yeah.
findings?
Yeah, it's way under, and that's why 6,000 for Shoshone.
Why couldn't you go on the travel? Because this store right here does more business than any store
Yep.
in this county.
Well, our money doesn't come from the travel, it comes from the lodging tax
But
funds.
we could get more money for our town.
Mhm.
Yep.
And that,
$6,000.
You're in
I make $6,000 myself when I do 3 weeks.
well, one thing we are doing though is we are marketing all of the communities in the county. So you get that money that's dispersed as money to your town, but we also advertise your town as part, through, we're going to do TripAdvisor this year. We have public relations firms. We're going to do a big thing on Boysen this year with some fly fishing. We're doing a whitewater trip down the river. So we are marketing your town as well. So if you add that kind of thing in, then it's a little bit of earned media for you. And I do understand that the 6,000 is low, but if you looked at your lodging tax income, it's actually lower than it would be lower.
So is there another question
Mhm.
based on the historical information that you may or may not have? Has Shoshone ever exceeded 1%?
That's a great question. And I am going to look that up and I can email you that. I can find out from Paula McCormick, who actually had my job since 1998. So she has the history. I am taking this over. This is my first time doing these joint powers meetings. And I have gotten some questions, which is great for me to hear. So please feel free to email me. My email is hwilson@windriver.org. Or contact me at the Wind River Visitors Council, and I am happy to answer questions. If you have events, send them our way. If you have ideas, if you have things that you want to promote. The one thing to remember with the Wind River Visitors Council is our focus is promoting or bringing in tourists. So we have to focus our events on events that are going to bring in tourists, which, can be tricky because some of us, if I see a farmer's market at the side of the road, if I'm a tourist, I'm going. So it's just tricky to know. Anyway, we can't post everything, but when we do post something, it automatically goes to the Wyoming Office of Tourism website and to County 10. And we have a strong marketing campaign with County 10, as well as the Wyoming Office of Tourism.
Yeah, there again, it's just money generated from lodging tax, so it's divvied up proportionally, and we're gifted quite a bit, but there again, we don't have a lot of business in Fastlane. That's very employs a lot of people in town. The advertising that the Winter Visitors Council brings people to Fremont County, and most of them are going to drive through Shoshone, and quite a few of them stop and
Might help.
spend money at Fastlane.
Might help fill the RV park too.
And sure, the RV park, we'll start getting some lodging tax off of that.
Yep.
And you never know. One of the things we're looking at now, a potential cafe and motel study
Oh.
that we're working with the Wyoming Business Council,
Mhm.
looking at possibly doing that, and maybe
Great.
and see if a motel would be viable, and maybe it would be, maybe it wouldn't.
Yeah, well, feel free to loop me in or ask questions or see how I can help promote. We all know what a great community we live in. Otherwise, we wouldn't live here. And my job is telling that to the rest of the world so they come and visit.
Yeah, there again, it's. Do you got something here for us to sign?
I actually just I emailed over the Joint Powers budget. If you don't have it with you, I can send you another one, or you could make a copy of mine. But we're just looking for a vote basically for just an approval of
Our
budget.
Why?
It's a joint powers rule. So we have to go to each of the city council meetings as well as the county commissioners and present our budget and then get approval. And it's really interesting because we've recently done some research and found out that this is not a requirement in the rest of the state, but somehow ended up in our paperwork.
That seems odd to me. It doesn't seem any relevance to me what your staff makes or what you're going to spend.
Yeah,
It just
well,
seems odd.
The whole thing is very complex and somewhat simple all at the same time. But yeah, it's as joint powers, you choose to be part of the TAD funds. There are places that don't choose to be part of it, so they don't get any of the TAD fund money, but Shoshoni does.
This is also a tax that's voted on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it will go up for vote next year in November. It'll go up for vote again, and we'll be getting out some information about what we do and what the Wind River Visitors Council is. But please feel free to ask me questions if you're listening to me and thinking, okay, what is this, or how can we be part of this? Please get in touch, because one of my personal goals in my position is really getting the community involved in what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm on that board now presently. Kathy Blair was on it for 6 years. They're 3-year terms. After 6 years, you have to step down. So, but Kathy can give you a lot more information than I can. But the Wind River Visitor Council, I attended quite a few meetings before I was on the board and got interested. And during the eclipse, sort of got involved. But they do a lot for Fremont County. Really get the word out, trying to make Fremont County a destination and not just a drive-through. And
exactly,
they're working real hard. I got consult. We're doing a new master plan for the city. Our consultant passed on one number. I hadn't seen it yet from YDOT. He said the numbers going north to Thermopolis was 1.4 million last year. That was up from 965,000 the year before.
Wow. Well, and one thing we're really trying to do, speaking of Thermopolis, is we're trying to make it so that people know because people are going to go to Yellowstone. People come to Wyoming to go to Yellowstone, and we're trying to show them what can you do along the way. And also all over Jackson, we have our vacation guides, which say room to breathe. So when you're like cramped in line at one of the restaurants, you can see that we have wildlife over here without the people surrounding you. And we have so much to offer over here. And we do have the wildlife, and we do have the hikes, and we do have the nature. And you've got Boise right here, and the beautiful Wind River Canyon, which half of it is Fremont County. And so this is what we're trying to promote.
Can I have a
my name is Helen Wilson, and my email is hwilson@windriver.org. And if you lose your piece of paper, you can just go to the windriver.org website. And that's a great question. I just put in the phone and I don't have it in front of me, but my personal cell phone is 707. No, well, people use it anyway. I'm happy to hand it out.
We can find it.
Okay. And I'm based in my office location is the upstairs of the Chamber of Commerce in Lander. Feel free to stop by and say hello. It's pretty hot up there right now. It's like a greenhouse.
any other questions? Can I have a motion to approve their budget for the amount again was
$630,050.
I'll motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Do we have any further discussion?
I still don't understand. I haven't looked at any budget and I have to approve it. It's weird to me.
I can give you my copy. It was emailed over, but you can definitely have mine. I did write Shoshoni Day, so I remember to go.
Well, just I say I'm just a freshman in this. I just don't understand it. It's like your business has to approve your business. You do a great job. Super.
Well, I agree. If we get $6,000 out of it, which
I mean, that's kind of, we're approving the budget that Shoshoni gets 6,000 and it's
And it's not, it doesn't cost us any much.
sure.
And we will
We're not
promote things
spending
for
any
you.
money, and it's all money coming in from lodging taxes, is funding the whole project. Like, it is kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, if it was up to me, we wouldn't be going through this either. But it's not up
May
to
not be
me.
next year.
moved in second.
And been moved and second. Do we have any further discussion or want to look? No other discussion. All in favor to approve the budget for $630,050? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can
for your
have that if you'd
explanation.
like it. You don't want it? Thank you, everybody.
Ordinance modification, code 12-4F, first reading.
Did we do this last? We did this last.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that's what we did last. Okay.
An ordinance amending section 4-12F of chapter 4, alcoholic beverages. Be it ordained by the governing body of the municipality of Shoshone the following: section 12-4F of the town code for the town of Shoshone, Wyoming is hereby amended to read. Section F, HB 0013, law 12-4102A BII, effective July 1st, 2021 of Wyoming's alcohol beverage control laws requires amendment to section 12-4F. The wordings in red to be admitted as follows: the site and the zoning of the site admitted, or the applicant will sell under the license. Therefore, section 12-4F to read: the site where the applicant will sell under the license.
Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
It's very, just cleaning up the language from the state of Wyoming. So it's just striking the zoning portion of that.
So what does that mean? So can you give an example of this, what it was, and this is what it becomes?
So when I read the site and the zoning of the site omitted, that is now being omitted. And so it's just going to go straight to the site where the applicant will sell instead of the site and the zone. It's just the site.
This came from the state of Wyoming, correct?
Yes.
This
So
came-
you still, so it's not saying that you can sell anywhere you want.
No, it's
If you're commercial, you can sell because you're in commercial, but this,
it's striking the zoning aspect of it out of the wording.
but
So
our
it's-
ordinance still would exist that in order to sell it, it's going to be in.
Well, this is the town's ordinance. We have to match the state's liquor license authority. And so when they passed effective July 1st, 2021, so we have to amend our ordinance to reflect the Liquor Commission's laws. So that's what this is doing, is House Bill 0013 is what changed it. And so we're just modifying our 12-4F language to reflect theirs.
Chris, could you speak up? I can't hear you.
Sure. So
Thank
we're
you.
omitting the stipulation of and the zoning of the site to read just the site where the applicant will sell under the license. And it's just that one portion of the ordinance, not the entire ordinance, it's that one specific section of that ordinance of the town codes of Shoshone, 12-4F.
This puts us in compliance with what the state is
Correct.
indirectly asked us to do.
Well, yeah, kind of directly.
Or directly.
Yeah.
They weren't very subtle.
Oh, shit.
Shall be done.
Something like that.
I think they're just eliminating some redundancy there. That's what they're doing.
Mm.
Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimous. Fiscal year 22 appropriations, second reading.
Ordinance fiscal year 2022, as previously read and entered into the record.
I like that.
Me too.
Can I have a motion to approve second reading, fiscal year 22 appropriations?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved in second that we approve fiscal year 2022 second reading. Any discussion on the second reading?
On the budget message, last paragraph, it says the town of Shoshoni will recognize the needs to raise minimum monthly rates for water and sewer. We have not set those exact rates at this time. I would like to amend that paragraph. Okay, amend section 2 of it. So to read, yeah. This bar. Okay. To increase the water rates to $3, increase water rates to $3 a month, and wastewater for $1 a month, for a total of $4. This increase will be other increase, and this with other increases will be determined over the next 4-year period. And what else? That's it.
Okay, it's been moved that that we raise the water rate $3 the upcoming fiscal year. The $4 total increase on the sewer and water bill, $3 being water, $1 being sewer over last year's rate. I can't read the ordinance.
So it's changing the verbiage instead of saying monthly rates for water to wastewater with a $4 increase each year for a 4-year period would be changed to a minimum monthly rates for water will increase by $3 and wastewater by $1 this year, with future increases over the next 4 years as needed or expected.
So it's what it's doing, it's allocating the
Yeah.
$3 in water and $1.
So it's still $4. It's just
Yeah, it was still a little
Yeah.
cloudy. What we talked about.
Yeah, we just never
Okay.
did it last
Yeah.
meeting.
So,
To tell us where the money is.
so. Can I have a motion when we get a motion, we need a second.
We had a motion.
Oh, did
We
we?
do.
This is a
For
discussion.
the- That was for the second reading, then the amended.
An amendment, we got an amendment. Yeah. So we got to approve it as amended.
more discussion for the approval of the second.
Yeah.
reading. And then we have the amendment, so we can vote on the amendment.
Well, I don't know which is coming first here, the horse, or the cart.
But we need to,
I'll leave that
we
up
need
to
to,
you.
we need to approve the amendment
First.
first.
You need a second on that.
I need a second on the amendment.
Okay, I'll
That's what I was
second
asking for. Yes. Any further discussion on the amendment as read? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Do we have any other discussion on on fiscal year 22 appropriation, second reading. None being, can, we were in discussions on that, correct? All in favor to approve fiscal year 2022 appropriation or second reading, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Did we do that right?
Or do we need to have a motion? Or do we have to have a motion? in a second? This guy back here for something.
Parents of vice citizens, public presentation. Oh, what? Permits were added. Oh, permits,
Yep.
okay.
I saw one for another vendor. Did you say there's two?
So,
Maybe I just missed it as all.
yeah, it's Shoshoni days and it
Uh-huh.
is. They came in kind of late.
It's two.
It's medley. She
Yeah.
didn't, on what
Okay, I
went
saw
through,
this.
we didn't have a permit, so we have to re-up.
So.
It's in there somewhere. I was looking at it.
So these are the flywheelers vendor list for business licenses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then Linda Peterson is 14. I've lost my kid. So 14 total. Is that right, Marnie?
Yes.
So we need a motion to approve 14 business license.
I'll make a motion.
For Shoshoni. Can I get a second? Been moved and seconded. We approve 14 business licenses for Shoshoni days. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
And they kind of came in yesterday, so it's really short notice.
Well, the one I saw was for the Cattle Camp LLC. For the
That's
food
what I
trailer.
was just gonna say,
Yeah.
that one didn't show. That, there it is right there.
Oh, this is a separate one?
That's a separate one. It's the same one, but she actually figured it out and sent us the application herself yesterday,
But she was included with the,
having the permit, yeah.
okay, with the vendor list on the
Yeah.
flywheelers?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's already covered under that. Okay, we're good.
Okay, now we go on to appearances by citizens, public presentation. Correct? Very, very wise.
Anyway, I'm gonna go over, I'm Gary Wise of Chamber, and I'm gonna go over what's gonna go on Saturday from the Chamber, as well as the Flywheelers and their show. 7 to 10 Saturday morning is free pancake donation, free pancake breakfast, and we will take donations. From 9 a.m. to 2, Michelle Rambo and her staff at SRD is having a made in Fremont County. The stuff that people make in Fremont County, they can go down there and sell it. And also at that, and as well as at the breakfast and later at the supper, Leah DeLay and
what's the name? Quilters Guild is raffling off a quilt. The proceeds from that will go to buy the material they need to make the quilts they give the veterans, the quilts of valor. And that's where the proceeds from that go. I'll be selling them at breakfast. They'll be down at SRD, and then I'll be selling them again at supper. And also at SRD from 9 to 2, the senior center is going to have the bake sale down there. Is that right, Ken? Okay. Then starting 10 to 4, 10 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon. 10 is a tractor drive, and then they do the rest of their activities. From 11 to 1 is poker run. It starts at the Lucky 5. The second stop is Tom's Auto. The third stop is Tough Creek, and you go clear to the pay station. And the person at the pay station will take care of getting your card and stuff. Stop 4 is the lower campground, which is just before you go into the canyon. And the final stop is on the east side of the marina. I will be there, and that's where it'll end. And I stress that the vehicles need to be road safe. And then all the stuff that it takes to drive a vehicle on the road, plates and insurance and whatever else the law requires. From 1 to 3 in the town park, right back over here, is the water splash and fire truck. Jennifer and my wife, and who else is going to help you down in town?
A firefighter.
Oh,
We'll just leave it at that.
okay. And from 4 to 5 in the community room, there's going to be Cowboy Poetry Gathering. Garland Kennington will be there. He lives between Shoshoni and Riverton. Lee Wickstrom from Kinnear. And Jerry Bell, I believe, lives in Riverton. And then there will be an open mic if somebody has written a poem and they want to get up and read it. And then at 4, the senior center is going to move their bake sale back to the community room where it'll wind up. 5 o'clock, 5:30 to 7 is supper. It's pulled pork dinner with all the trimmings, and Gail and Cindy Moravik and Leah and Lyle DeLay are the ones that's cooking that. And then Sunday, June 13th, from 2 to 4 at the rifle range is turkey shoot. And I missed it. Back in the mail, Dan Seeley's band is going to play from 6:30 to 10. If you want to just listen or dance or whatever. And that covers everything the chamber is doing. The Flywheelers, Saturday morning at 10 is the tractor drive. 11 is tractor games, and I don't know what all they do. At 1 o'clock, there's an auction, and 1:30 is a tractor pull. Sunday at 10 is a tractor drive. 11 is a tractor pull. And at 2 o'clock, the Flywheelers raffled off a pedal tractor, and some of the ladies make quilts and stuff. They will draw the raffles at 2. Is that right, Ken? Okay. And also, along with both the chamber and the Flywheelers, guy that manages the auto parts in Riverton, Jay, is going to have some cars from his car club over. There will be engine exhibits, blacksmiths, crafts and food booths, Dutch oven cooking. And Tony Swasso is going to cook lunch. I'm not sure if he's going to cook breakfast or not. I have not talked to him. They're going to have steamed corn. They use the steam engine to steam the corn. And if you haven't eaten that, you're missing a treat. They have a museum trailer and then the kids barrel train. And I don't know, George Schaefer usually drives the mini tractor that pulls the barrel. Anybody have any questions?
Yes, hope a lot of people come out and have some fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And breakfast will be safe because I'm not cooking.
And we want to also make sure that we still have access to the water spigot for the park.
Give you a meter
We have a portable meter, now that you brought that up.
based on our, we need a meter, what we spend.
Do you know money? Do you have money that nobody knows about?
Is
Rodney?
it me? Is it me?
I'm sure you'll have water there.
From your house with a hose.
It'll reach.
You needed me to.
Okay, if nobody has any questions, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Unfinished business. I did email everybody, but it wasn't until this afternoon. I haven't had a chance. We had, three bids submitted for surveying. And- Okay, that's what I was looking for. We had three bids for the surveying. Apex Engineering had a bid of 22,900. Enberg Miller Engineers had a bid of 26,500. Reuters Engineering had a bid of 30,920. All three businesses are Riverton area. All three businesses are local companies. And this is inclusive of the plotting the 40 acres. The approximate 3-acre piece we have south of the highway, west end of town, and the six lots. The 6 lots are the old admin building, our future town hall.
Kind of an ignorant question. because I genuinely do not know the answer. When you buy property, like we did over there, titles and all that kind of stuff, whose responsibility is it to survey it, the buyer or the seller?
Depends on the agreement and the purchase when you buy the land.
Oh, so we're doing it.
I mean, it could,
Well, I'm just curious.
Sure.
I don't know.
if, you know, if you're on, okay, I believe the council had desired to have, we discussed where we're, future town hall is.
Sure.
I was hoping Confidence Builders are gonna do some of that.
Okay, well, that's what I was
Okay,
getting at.
but anyway, to put our corners up, that, you know, we're gonna four corners, you know, put the corners, yeah, we got our, all our property is, do that on the 3 acres.
Well, I agree, it needs to be done. I was,
But on the
you're
three,
hoping that's like, well, you know.
it's, I don't, yeah, on our agreement with Confidence Builders, I wasn't, maybe they got to me on that, I didn't make them survey it.
Okay.
Maybe I got out horse traded on that, but yeah, I didn't, that wasn't part of my requirement.
Well, they just raised the price.
But anyway, it's,
Yeah, I answered the question. Yeah, it needs to be
that's,
done.
and then might easier to sell what we have on that 3 acres. And then on that 40 acres closest to town, that'll help us in the future to sell that market, that property.
Yeah, the only
That's
question
what we want to do.
I had about that is how much of it do you think needs to be platted and penned and everything right now? And that's what you guys do when your consultant came up with was to do that. We do it now while
I think it's cheaper to do it now.
now than having, then invite them back
And
have to-
invite them back.
Okay.
That was sort of the thought. I think that's what we, you know, talked about when we decided that, you know, several meetings ago to put this out to bid. You know, we're one. That was-
I'm just trying to be fiscally
Well,
responsible.
no,
As cheap
good.
as I
No,
can be,
no,
because I never do that
no,
myself. So I
those
thought I owed it to the citizenry.
No, those
Yeah.
are good questions, and then if, but that better prepares us now to move forward on that land, because I don't think any of us want to sit there and just own that land. We bought it, try to.
So is our current proposal to do 84 lots? Is that the number that everybody's using?
Yes,
84.
I believe that's basically, 84 lots.
No, is that number 75 by 140?
That's, some of that I think is 100 by 100.
Saw that somewhere.
It's lining up with that there would line up with current streets that we already have.
I saw it.
That's the lot size, got a recommendation from, also from Ben with, that's doing our master plan.
Oh.
I know I have 2 lots on my house. That's that was one of their comments when they first started this, when they did the roadmap, our lots are too small in town. What people expect to get now. And that would reflect what they think we should be doing.
And your recommendation was to go with the lowest bidder.
And it's also cheaper on our surveying costs, saves us some money to put it into that also. There's no reason, I guess, not to go with all 3 bids are from qualified
Sure.
company that they're all going to do a good job. I don't know if there's anyone will do better than the other one. Apex is the lowest bidder. But yeah, I'd recommend go with the low bid. But I have no objection, and the money's money, but all three are qualified.
And we should get the same result.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if I thought that there
Within
was,
a country line.
We're gonna
Yeah.
get a stick in the ground with a ribbon on it.
right. And
You guys are about everything here.
so can I have a motion to accept the bid and move forward with the project
I'll make a motion
from the state,
to move forward with the project and accept the bid,
from
the lowest.
lowest bidder, which would be Apex. The bid was $22,900, not to exceed,
Not to exceed.
not to exceed.
I'll
There is some
second.
questions about our sandstone and driving them little rod pins into the ground.
I'll second that. We
Been
can discuss
moved
it.
and second to approve Apex Engineering for the amount not to exceed $22,900 for the surveying the 3 parcels for the proposal. Any further discussion?
Is there a timeline on this?
I think we're gonna get to it in the very near next month. No. Not be late next month. The conversation in the very near future. I believe they're tied up the next couple, 3 weeks.
I think before summer's over.
Yes. Any other questions?
And after the surveying is, so after the surveying is done, then what?
Well, after the surveying, we have everything plotted. We can take the next step on seeing what we can do to bring sewer and water in there. This is the first step, and then that'll enable us to sell lots. We may get to the point where I don't know what point we may get a developer involved. We really don't want to do that, but one of the things we're trying to do is develop affordable housing for city employees, school employees. And our involvement helps keep the price of land down, because we can get grants to help us do this where private company cannot do this.
Is there an anticipated cost per lot? Is that what this, I saw?
Well, we haven't.
No.
Yeah, well, it's gonna do, but we're gonna have to see what everything's gonna cost us. We'll have to work that. I do know we do have some people interested in buying lots, but I have no idea how much money we're gonna get invested. This is just phase one. But it's the first step.
Well, it's something that needs to be done anyway, where I'll have reservations will be later on with the, we'll have to get serious discussions about the building climate and the cost of stuff.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff.
But I mean, we're gonna have to do this anyway, get platted, annexed and all that, so.
Correct. Any other questions? We've been moved and seconded. No further questions. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, motion passed. Unanimous. Thank you. The next is for the VRP asbestos abatement. We have received 2 bids. Yeah, Tri Hydro presented a bid. There again, we got two highly qualified companies. This bid is very close. Tri Hydro presented a bid, $30,785. I presented a copy. Edinburgh Miller. Excuse me. And Edinburgh Miller presented a bid. $31,500. So there again, the bid for this is very, very close. Both companies come
On these two, for VRP, this is all part of the grant.
Yes.
that we're awarded. So this is actually fully reimbursed for this as part of.
Right.
that grant.
Yeah, for the.
VRP.
account.
right.
Where's Tri Hydro?
This office, I believe that Lander.
They have offices throughout the state, but this
Yeah.
one's through Lander, they wanted wrong as well. Laramie.
Kathy Brown is the project director. For Tri Hydro. Eric Nunn is the project manager for Edinburgh Miller Riverton. Edinburgh Miller teamed up with another company to do this here. I don't have their information, but Edinburgh Miller is the prime contract. They looked at the project very, very similar. There again, I guess be consistent, I would recommend we go with the low bid. But they're so close, they're both very qualified. On this project, we on the original grant to purchase the land, we're still waiting on that.
They just finished the environmental survey. I sent them what we had done previously, and so they should have a final agreement in place here next week. And then we can, take possession of the property. And
We just signed the contract for the brownfield, the environmental work. We just signed that today. On the purchase, we'll move forward, so hopefully that several more weeks, we can
Since both-
put it out. Yeah, we can then put it out to bid through the.
Yeah. So we just couldn't purchase them until they state finish their stuff. That's
Sure.
already approved.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting on that. First, we can do the ABC, A stuff now, and that'll be part of the cast match, but that's, since it's kind of got pushed out towards the budget year, that's already incorporated in next year's budget. So it's figured to be July before we got started on it.
Come on, Paul.
Well, I'll make the motion. I was waiting on you.
Oh, I forgot who this lowest bidder was. It is.
I move that we award the bid to Tri-Hydro.
I'll second.
Been moved and second, we award the bid to Tri-Hydro for the amount of $30,785 for the environmental oversight of removal of asbestos. Moved and second, got any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Abstain. I'm not sure which order that goes in, but I need to abstain from the vote.
Okay. Hold it, Mike in. Opposed? Motion passed. 4, 1 abstention. Feasibility study. Pardon? Oh, architect, we reached out to at least 3. We only got 2 bids from architects. We had Nelson Architects from Riverton. Gave us a bid, $60,375. We had Plan One Architects out of Cody. Give us a bid of $55,000.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed $55,000. Both these are highly qualified. Nelson Engineering from Riverton has done a lot of work and is currently doing a lot of work in Fremont County. Plan One Architect also doing a lot of work. They're the designers of our new school. So both highly qualified companies. There again, I know Plan One broke it out with discussions with Nelson's Art, that my suggestion was to break through this in phases. I think do the start the schematic design, the first part, do that, and then maybe put a halt on it for a while and look at, I don't know, with building costs, materials and stuff, how fast we're gonna move forward on I don't have the answers, how fast we wanna move forward on our new town hall. I think we need to approach it cautiously, and I think we're going there, and I think this is something we can stop and start and do it in phases. Until we get a better handle on what we're gonna do moving forward. That would be my suggestion would accept. Again, I accept a little bit, but I think we do it in phases. But both architects agreed that we could do it in phases. It's not in Nelson's architect's bid, but she also agreed that we could work that way.
I'll make the motion that we approve Plan 1 as planned. For our new town hall, going in phases.
And design phase.
I would like to suggest we approve the total bid, but only move forward on phase 1. That was what I was.
That way they don't raise it.
Other than we're locked in, she's agreed, both of them agreed that what happens in 6-8 months, what happens for 2 years, twice the same.
Okay, I'll change my motion.
That way we have that.
It's in stone.
And then if we decide to move forward, if we receive some anticipated revenue that would allow us to move forward, there's things I get that would allow us to move seamlessly a lot faster than going, the bid and go everything. We got it. We can move forward. Of course, I'm only asking. We approved this, and I'll only ask for authorization now to move forward on that. Won't spend money we don't have.
Mike and I had the same conversation yesterday or this afternoon. We were looking at this as kind of a hot potato in the current building climate. As far as, I guess we're all on the same page.
Well, right, we are. I am too.
Yeah,
I just,
material.
we don't know.
There he is. Then what I didn't, the way this is written, like if we approve this 55 not to exceed, and then things just go to hell and we don't proceed, or are we going to be obligated to this company to proceed, or how's that going to work? Well, don't we breach a contract?
We are town attorneys here.
Yeah,
we
he's
can
over
probably
here.
bet he can figure it out.
I'll bet he can. I hate to put you on the spot. Well, I don't think we have one, so maybe that's
right.
It'd just be how you guys would write it up. I just hate to.
No, I agree.
That and then do the first 2 parts, and then they say when you're going to do the other 3.
For any reason you wish to stop progress on a project, you may do so at any time. Right.
Oh, that's where?
It's
Done.
right there.
Yeah. I didn't see it. Oh, okay, it's already in there.
Yeah, that was, her and I we negotiated that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If
Because
for
it
any
means
reason
stop
you
and
wish
start
to stop progress on the project, you can do so. I guess all I had to do is read it. The read legalese better.
No. Yeah, I think with that there is a proposal you're saying, say that at that point you decide to stop for whatever reason. At that phase, that's as far as.
Yeah.
Part of it, which I look at it as construction observation. We may not do the construction for 3 years.
Yeah.
That's
parts red. So we don't have the money, we're putting money to the water study or whatever. It's what's the priority?
And what if the design changes based on need, where we're at today versus where we might be in 2 years, bigger? I look at the line above it and say, when's the town have 500,000 to put into a project? Is it a year, 2 years, 5 years? I think that's the bigger looming question. We can have all this stuff on paper, but when's the town gonna say we're gonna have the funding to do that type of a project? I mean, we don't know that answer, but
Who said we could have the funding to build a medical clinic?
I think it's a terrible example. I won't go into that, but I don't think
I think it's a great example. We'll go into it.
Okay.
It's, I have no crystal ball, but we work very hard on addressing funding. This is just the first step. I believe we have a pretty good design on what our PD, our needs, with what we're going to build. I think working on a pretty good design. We do know that we're eligible for $100,000 grant for part of that. I don't know what next year prices are going to be, but it could be higher. I mean, but we're spending a little over $8,000 for the initial to get us started, and we'll have an architect on the hook if we have the opportunity to respond to funding as we did. The funding became available for us for the clinic, and if we wouldn't have responded as fast as we did, we would not have this clinic. We had to move forward. We had to move forward now, and was able to do that because we made a commitment and just jumped in and went after it. Even the form we filled out said, purchase of property would likely not be approved, highly unlikely, but Chris is able to make a compelling argument of the need for the clinic for the citizens of Shoshoni, and that worked. I personally think we need to do a couple things. I think we need to approve this, get the ball rolling for that part. I think we also, I was going to get into this a little later, but I think we need to start marketing this property we're sitting in right now. We sell this, that may solve a lot of our problems on where the money is going to be to build a new one. But to get a business model, to get somebody in here, they're going to be looking at things. Maybe this area would be a good place for a motel to stay. I mean, it's a busy intersection. We have a lot of traffic coming through, and what would be a good business opportunity to get a business in here. But I'm thinking we ought to start marketing this property now. Even if we get somebody involved, it may take a year to get somebody involved, get finances, looking at everything, get anything. But I think we need to start putting this on the market. We don't need a whole bunch of property. We need to sell this. We need to move there. This is the first step. I hope we're not here in 3 years right here. I hope we put this piece of property to work for the town of Shoshoni. I hope we put it to work providing jobs for people in the town of Shoshoni. I don't know what that would be, but with the possibilities with our traffic flow we have here, there's probably someone a lot smarter than me that can figure it out. But I think that's where I think we should be going. I think we need to take the first steps to make to go there. I think that I think that's a common sense move to move to the old admin building should be our new town hall. I just think that's a common sense move. Get this commercial property work for the town.
Well, I know where I stand on it, and, you know, I've heard the other councilmen. I'd like to know Chris's take as a town clerk too. I mean, where do you sit on it? I know you don't have the vote on it, but I personally would like to know how you feel.
I think that, well, personally, I mean, we live in a changing world. We have a lot of traffic that comes through here. I know it's Shoshoni, but just town hall, everyone here is exposed. There's nobody here that I can protect. I can't even protect my police department right out loud. I can't do it. I can put cameras up. I can try and catch people after the fact, but there's nothing from my perspective, from that perspective, or from law enforcement perspective, we're a soft target. I mean, it used to be a bank. It's meant to be open. I'm not saying that town hall is not supposed to be open, but it's supposed to be controlled. We have no control over access. Who comes in, who goes out. There's zero control here. The police department's in a trailer home. It's not secure. There's limitations there. That is a real issue. And I intend to try and do whatever I can as far as grants. And that's where that $100,000 came into play, was because that's where the imperative from Homeland Security is towards hardening soft targets. From a financial perspective, there's lots of different ways to skin a cat. I don't have a crystal ball from the town clerk side. There's a lot of moving parts that have to be worked out, but I do think that you have to start somewhere instead of just saying, "Ah, well, ain't worth it to not do anything." You know, we don't know unless we try. But I do know if we don't do anything, don't even try to do something, absolutely nothing will change, nothing will happen. That I can say for certain. I can't say that it's gonna happen, but I can't say it won't.
We will be combining the library, the police department, and town hall and the judge's chamber, all in one building, all on one floor, all up to code. It will be nice. We're sitting here on a valuable piece of property. We need to market it, sell it, and make further improvement in the town. Even our consultant recommends it. I even talked to a couple citizens today that may not be too happy with everything that I've been for and that we're doing on some of the things, but they did support moving town hall there.
I've got a point to back up Chris too. There was a night that he had to come in here, him and Matt, and clear this building because I had a drunk come through the doors that just disappeared. And I didn't know if he went downstairs in court and was still in the building or if he left the building. And they had to come in and clear this building. And I've been here a year, and I had another instance where I had a known sexual predator in here, and I was in here by myself, and I was starting to feel like a piece of meat. There are issues here.
Can we have some more comments out of the audience? I mean,
Well, I just wanted to, you said skin a cat, now just the white elephant in the room is this one. I've written grants in education. I'm all for taking $1 and turning it into $2. If you turn it into $3, better yet.
Right.
But one way to skin this cat would be to bleed a whole bunch of money out of the WildStar account. Man, I do not want to do that unless it's just so absolutely necessary. I don't want to put the town in a position where we have to, you know, people say, well, we saved it up. What's the sense in having it if we don't spend it? I don't think it would be a wise move to pull $500,000 out of that.
we're not saying we are.
I know. So I'm just putting it out
Because
there.
it might be a million.
It might be less
There
than
you
five.
go. But you know, you see what I'm saying. I'm saying let's be real cautious. I'm all for doing the first
couple of
Well,
phases here.
we're agreeing to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
cautious.
I think we're on the same page.
Yeah.
But I am
We're-
probably more,
No, I'm not in
Yeah,
favor of spending $500,000 either.
Mm-mm.
No,
But will you?
but I can't without the council's blessing, correct?
yes,
The
that's.
council, the governing body, which I'm part of, the governing body, we do budget. I can't, well, my wife has suggested a couple times, we couldn't write about $1 million check. She's found a house she likes. And I told her, well, we can't do that. Why? And of course, she's joking, I think. But anyway,
We've made the comment, you can what if things to death.
yeah, and you can,
But I just like to.
both
look at the-
sides.
The what if, the worst case scenario, and the worst case scenario would be to get in debt and have to touch some stuff we didn't want to. And as long as we're vigilant about not going down that road, well, I'm good to go.
No, and I think we should be. I think we should be, but we, but yes, yeah, our PD is,
We're probably on the same page.
yeah, I just, and I'm not, this is just the first step, and that helps us. Like if we have an opportunity to react faster, we can do it. That's what I'm getting at. I'm not saying we're gonna spend the money now, 6 months, but what if there's some kerosene and we don't know what's gonna happen? We have a chance to take advantage of it like we did for the medical clinic. And like we did, Chris reached out and on his own, and basically got blessing from the council for, how much was that? 180,000, 178,000, 172,000 additional reimbursement for expenses we incurred during that. And quite frankly, that, we bought equipment, we got a lot of good things with that. We spent a lot of money last year, but we increased our savings how much? 480,000, something like that. But it's because we leveraged our money, we spent it wisely, and then we intend to continue doing things like that, spending wisely. And like I said, I'm not asking for permission to spend $500,000. I wouldn't spend it anyway, but I can't spend it, more importantly, because majority of the governing body, that's why we're having this discussion to authorize budgets and spending, and that's where we're working. But I would like to have the ability, if we have a chance to move forward on something, to do it.
My issue is I'm seeing too many fires, too many pots boiling at the same time. We have a water study of $1 million coming up. We have expansion of the sewer system. My question as council is, what is our number one priority? And that to me, has not been identified. So as this water study said, these are the top 20 items to go through and solve. We haven't done that as a town, saying, what are our top 10 things that are most important for the town to be done? Is it that's north side sewer system? Is it improving the water? Is it moving this building? Is it finishing up the old sewer system on the south side of town? What are our main goals? I'm not hearing that. I'm seeing this pot over here boiling, and this one is boiling, and everyone's taking money. But I don't see any priorities set by this council on all of these things that need to be done. And that's where I'm at.
Well, I could say like on the sewers that you're talking about over there, I'd jump all over it if we could, but the funding's not there.
Okay.
So that one's got to be on the back burner until with
So
There's grants
but we haven't talked about it at all, have we?
we've brought that up
Okay,
before.
wait a minute.
I've heard it.
Have we- wait a minute.
It's been brought
Let me
up.
finish. Have we talked about what's more important? The water study for moving this or a new town build? What's more important? The new sewer system going north? Or this building? All of them take money.
The sewer system going north would be say if it was $1 million, it would cost us an additional $30,000 to move
And that's where I need those things outlined as number one, how much their costs all the way down. That's all I'm saying. And I haven't received that information from this
I have-
council.
I have supplied a lot of that information in council.
Yes, you are correct, but has the council agreed on the order of priorities? Is my question.
But I think it's a fair, because you say if we were to put this building up and whatever X dollars you get out of this, what I'm hearing is we're gonna sell this and we're gonna fund that over there. What if you're saying we need to do a sewer project because that's number one, or whatever the number one project is, and we take the revenue from selling this and we shack up with Chris over there because
We can't.
What
do
can't
that.
do it?
We can't do that. We have two different priority lists that we're talking about. Combining into one.
It's
They're
not
actually
one.
two separate ones. So the sewer can be number one. I'm just, for example, the sewer can be number one over here, and moving this building to town hall could be also number one. But they're two separate things, and when you conflate them together, that's when everything falls apart.
And it's separate
because
funding.
They're totally separate. And that's where I think I just try to flush it out there. That's
Sure.
where some of that, is getting. kind of
It's
lost
not one pile of money. You have money that can be spent for.
I know sewer money is sewer money, we can't spend it.
Right, okay, correct.
But my question still has not been answered. What do we want to do as a council? Long term. I mean, because when we start putting in subdivision, we have to follow the zoning rules. Streets, all that other stuff. Paying for water systems, all that other stuff. Where's our priority? And I'm not hearing that being stated. We just spent 23,000 on a survey. Then what? Oh, you'll have set for 5 years? Those are my questions that haven't been answered.
And and I feel like that echoes what you're saying when it comes to town hall. And I think of one of the conversations that came out of the feasibility was the town owns this property. What's the town either going to allow to buy this? There's not very much business to bring here. But is the town saying we're going to sell this and create competition for the existing businesses here based on it? That's a weird spot for me as far as we sell this to a Maverick. We bring another truck stop to town. We knowingly do that to compete with someone across the street. Or if we bring in a hotel in this spot, it competes with the existing motel down the street or the RV park that we're trying to get. So that's a part of the town vision of we might get a pile of cash, but what about the other businesses or people that get affected by our decision of what to do with?
Most towns have competition.
Well, I understand that, but
We got to grow.
there's an extent of growth in crush.
But we have to get some kind of growth going.
We'll say that to the guy we're going to crush.
Well,
Say
I'm
the
sure,
guy that
I'm
moved
sure
to
Tim's real
Wyoming.
available, something could come over here.
I'm sure that's why Ken bought all the other properties around it to avoid that.
I mean, I understand. I mean, coming from the business perspective, I totally get it. So this is me trying to be from the council perspective, saying, if someone comes to me, why'd you vote to do that? Our family's done. Or Confidence Builders comes back to us. I don't know that part. I just know what competition does in a small town.
I just feel that we're trying to get this town going and growing. It's been stagnant for a lot of years. And when I first came to Wyoming, I could tell people, hey, I live in Shoshoni. And first thing is, really? You like it there? What'd you move there for? I don't hear that anymore. What I hear is, man, you guys have done a lot of work with Shoshoni. So do we just put the brakes on because of all the what ifs? Because we don't do anything, nothing. We've got good things going. It's not like we've blown through all of our money by doing all this stuff. Our accounts are good. We've been doing good steps. Why put the brakes on now? We're not saying spend $500,000 on anything right now. Let's just take some next steps. They're baby steps.
We're looking at spending $8,250
We're talking
right now.
Holy
That's
cow.
we're talking.
How much money
to
we
help
spend on
with-
the park?
Part of it.
The park project. If we look at the park and say, what does that park to date cost us?
With the Sidewalk, about 64,000.
And the initial purchase of the property.
We already owned it.
So what I mean, if
We
you
bought
quantify,
Well, that was before me, but yeah.
if
Hundred
you,
eighty-nine thousand.
so if you look at the park, just as an example, the park's pretty. There's no argument, the park is pretty. But if we look at the park and say, from conception to where we're at now, we placed X amount of dollars. What was the conversation? I wasn't on council, said, we're gonna have this park and it's gonna cost us 100,000. You know, what was the initial dream? $100,000 park, but if we're at $400,000 park, you know, at what point do we say, well, we spent a lot of money on that park. It looks fantastic, but we spent an awful lot of money.
I guess the way I look at it is it was a change for our town. We didn't, none of us up here paid for that part, paid for that ground. So because someone paid too much for it, we just sit on it and do nothing. I mean, as it was, they filled it in full of stuff, but we couldn't even put a building on it anyways, unless you dug it all up.
I offered to buy it before we did that.
Well, I mean, what were you gonna put something like a park or something good for the community or for your equipment or, I mean, that's Main Street.
It was commercial. I looked at the commercial standpoint, bringing business to this town.
And who did you offer to buy it from?
From you, and you quickly said that meeting, oh, I got another plan for it, and we pushed forward.
That was after, so the park had already been decided on.
It was the rezoning of it. Anyway, at the end of it all, it's striving for the financial responsibility of saying, just what Bob is saying, where are our priorities? If we want $1 million town hall, if that's what we agreed to, then say, let's push for it and do what it takes to get the town hall. If we want a phenomenal sewer system, if we want, I don't know the priorities either. New to the table. I've been here for 11 years in Shoshoni doing what I do in this town. But when it comes to taxpayers and answer to the community, when they say, why did you do this over here and not over there? Some things I don't know. You'd have to go ask other people that are on the project.
I think using the park as an example, the majority of people, I think, believe that was money well spent.
Sure, what was it? But that, my question comes down to, was it $500,000? I mean, if the world says it doesn't matter what it costs, that's different. But for me, if someone said, yeah, but it's truth be told, you got $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 into that park.
Well, we don't. That line was purchased for any of us was involved with it, and what they paid for that has nothing to do with what we're doing with it. It was vacant land sitting there doing nothing, going to waste as an eyesore. We turn it into a positive, and we get more positive remarks from our new town plaza than about anything. It's we got people coming to Shoshoni and seeing that we're cleaning up, we're making the town look nicer, are interested in moving to Shoshoni. Where before we weren't getting much of that. We have business. I know we have I've had a couple of business people in my office talking about moving to Shoshoni. Now,
One of the big things with me was that park is the kids don't have anything to do. And the kids like the park. And parents that have these kids who go roaming around the streets and everything else, there's nothing to do. A lot of them go to the park. I'm not saying they all do, but they got a place to go. We need that. We got a place for tourists to stop. We get free Wi-Fi in there or something. Another reason for people driving through to go in there, have lunch. They can do their, if they're out doing business on the road or while they're traveling, they can hang out and go cross street, go grab a burger. Maybe they want to go get a Jack and Coke at the bar. Who cares?
that was the driving force behind the park to start off with. Providing the older kids a place to go do some shoot some hoops.
I guess we can do all the what ifs and just keep money in the bank, and when we're all done, say, well, we got this money in the bank. Well, I'd like to have some money in the bank and have things accomplished too.
But I'm going to come to Mayor Scott Peters.
No, I'm not even using him as an example.
Not necessarily. He'd made a comment one time when he came into doing what he did. The town had something like $30,000. They had a depleted next to nothing. They had next to nothing in it, and his focus was to just what you said. He built and saved in pro bono, and it wasn't actively involved in. But I looked at his approach, and whatever he did, he figured out how to build up the funding. I'm not saying we're depleting funding by any means, but that was the focus of his as far as it was all below ground and put money in the bank.
And what did he do for the town?
He had 80-20
I
grant.
mean, I'm serious here. What did he do for the town? Tell me one project that changed while he was in office.
I believe the sewer.
That was 80-20 grant. We
From
could
what
do
I
that
know,
too.
like I said, I know that his focus was that, and that was more what he talked about. It was stuff that you didn't get to see.
What?
What are you doing, babe?
The
There
sewer.
was buildings standing up there that he tore down just before he went out of office that were literally a hazard. I mean, the sidewalks, trees, parks, anything. Did he bring any businesses in? Did he work to try and get businesses in? And I'm not trying to bash him. Yeah, he saved some money, but what did he do besides save money?
Made it possible for us to spend a lot of it.
We've got more.
We got more money now than when we took over.
before.
Just
Here's the facts. I don't care what's administration, but these are the facts. I'm just gonna state them because they keep getting misrepresented. What his
He set them up
administration
to spend the money that they're spending. They're too stupid to see that.
I don't know what she said, but there was $330,000 when he took over as his administration. 8 years later, there's just over 900,000. When last year when I came on, there was 934,000 at the end of the year transfer. Currently, there's 1.4 million in 1 year. We went from just over 900,000 from the end of, since we're talking about the previous administration, next one, to this current one. It's almost $500,000 some change, 480,000. That is in addition to what was there. That's with everything that was done that you can see. So it's highly disingenuous to say that we spent all this money. When I say we, I mean the council in the last year has spent all this money. Yeah, the council spent a lot of money, but the council brought in a lot of money through grants, reimbursements, things that of nature that allowed for that to take place, as well as the budgeting that was able to increase the savings account. And I don't, this is why I was going to say this, but I am resigning as town clerk.
Oh, perfect.
I'm glad you're happy.
This has got to stop. We've been moving our town forward, and all that's been happening is put down this, put down that. What about the park? What about the clinic? When is the town going to wake up? Enough. When is the town going to wake up? All they've done is try to destroy him in the first place. Oh, no, that in the beginning you have to admit, come on. You guys went after him.
Saying we have to be careful as we proceed.
We know his value.
Wow.
I don't know. So my comment is this has nothing, Krista's phenomenal. I don't know where this is taking left turn. My question is about what we choose to do with our funding. That's it. I think that's what this conversation is about. We're not making decisions. Yeah.
Well,
It's about stopping progress. You guys have questioned every single thing. What if, what if, what if?
If you're worried about the priorities, how come you guys haven't presented them to everybody else?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're a man.
You're the council.
You're the
You
sheriff.
got all the ideas.
So
Let's hear them.
I don't know if this is an attack at me.
No, so everybody, we haven't heard any ideas.
I don't spare nobody, gentlemen. If you're so worried about it, how come your guys ain't going, hey, let's order this. So when we got the council, and we got a group of people standing here, wondering what we're doing, we can say, well, this is what we come up with. But no, you want to sit around and knitter to figure all this and not go nowhere.
Well, didn't I just say we're on the same page? And I wanted to proceed cautiously with our.
Yeah,
No, and I think we should
Down
be, and we will.
Joel, and I said,
Well,
we're
all
on
I'm
the
saying
same.
is if you're gonna nitpick this, if you're gonna pick on this now, how come you guys ain't going, hey, I'd like to see this in this order? Instead of just stopping everything.
Well, I think the feeling is not about stopping. I think it's about proceeding with caution.
What, I'm
Just like you
I'm
said,
requesting
Joel.
proceed with caution.
I think you
We're
are.
on the same page.
Yes.
But yet the perception is that.
Sure that I
I'm
said
going
something that-
process and progress of some kind of.
I'm not, you guys know, I'm not a person that you come out and speak publicly.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna talk to you, I'm gonna pull you off the side and say, hey, look, I do it all the time. I don't like to do it publicly. But what I don't want to do is see this downtown stop. We've got a clinic coming in that's functioning at a quite a great rate. I know most everybody that works there. And if you want to know how good of a job is good, go over there on Thursday and see how many of our people show up there so they don't have to travel to Lander or Thermopolis anymore.
I've used it.
No.
I'm the first to, I had an ear issue. I've used the clinic here.
I moved here 20-some years ago. I enjoyed this town. I've always enjoyed this town. I lived here for a reason, because it ain't everywhere else in this country. Seeing this stuff go, it was kind of depressing. I mean, there was some nostalgia there, but it had to go. But when it went, it wasn't taken care of properly. It's like buying the gas station over here. If you want to do something, what are you gonna have to do with this property? You bought that gas station, that's a shell. What would you have to do with that property? To do anything? You're gonna have to spend a ton of money because there's fuel things. I'm sure there's seafood. Was somebody gonna buy that property just to clean it up? Highly unlikely. I wouldn't have spent there.
Yeah.
I can go to the river to get better property.
David, this weekend, we're gonna have a hookup.
Yes.
We want our children to grow up here. We want them to be able to work here when they're, my oldest son's in Texas right now. Because there's no work in Wyoming that I want to see my son be able to get out of high school and have a job.
And do you know where the Blackfoot puppy cats are?
We out?
I'm getting like,
I think we probably bought them. We,
I ain't saying just allow for $500,000. I've been here in the last few years. The gentlemen have been taking care of getting the money that we need to make.
That's my point. That's what we're discussing. We have to be
But
opposed
we're
to
gonna
the.
sit here and nitpick what Scott did. We're gonna sit there and nitpick. Oh, what do we pay? Now I'm coming at you, Mike. What do we pay for that property? It don't matter. Scott got grants to take care of that property. That's not part of the value. That was a whole cleanup value that was funded by the government to clean up small towns.
Well, and that's the thing. That's me looking at the overall. The money comes from somewhere. So whether it came out of our pocket or came from the government, like I said, the money came from somewhere.
You can't put that on the value of the park, because that may not have been the plan when it started.
Well, it probably wasn't. We assume that it
Why do we
wasn't.
even bring it up?
Because it's a quantified. Because if somebody comes and says,
I got nothing to do.
"You don't like to talk," you said.
Well, you got me started now. Now you're gonna give me to shut up. Ask my wife. She hates it when I get this.
I think our town is striving to go forward. And I feel like if I've offended or something, this would be speaking personally tonight. I think of what I've done as a business owner, and I can demonstrate pushing the town forward. I can tell you how many people we employ from Shoshoni or Riverton or Lander here in Shoshoni, Wyoming. So as far as my perception is, what do I do to make this stuff go? Because the only way I grow is by help. And that's what we do. We work in Shoshoni, Wyoming. That's where we're based at. That's headquarters. So at the end of this conversation, it is all about, we're pushing the town forward, but we're pushing with caution. The same way that I haven't gone nuts over there and done whatever, I go with caution, saying, I got X amount of dollars to spend right now. This is what I know. So take risk, sure. I think what you're saying about, we're looking at the design here at $8,200. We're looking at what's going to be our priority as we go forward. I think that's kind of a missing piece of our puzzle.
I believe Chris explained his reason why this should be a priority. I've explained my reason that this is, I believe, commercial property that should be put to work. So I believe we have a priority to move there when we can afford it if the money's right. I don't say break the bank. I don't say, and we have certain funds we can draw out of one place to the other, and there again, give give us, Chris and I work together on these grants very hard. We look for them as a team. I spent a lot of hours down here, and a lot of those hours are spent looking for grants, talking with the state, talking with the feds. Chris does the same. We work as a team. We wouldn't be this far without his input, someone with his talent to write grants. We would not have the clinic, and we probably may not even have the park. We definitely, it's a very important cog to move forward. But we gotta work it. I'm just thinking we need to move forward on this $8,250. We've had a motion, we've had a second. I'm gonna call for the question.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. We have a motion.
What
was the
Bo
motion?
did a motion and we didn't have a second.
We didn't have, can I have a second?
Oh, I second. Oh,
Can move and second. Do we have any further discussion?
Yeah, I got more.
to go might be,
We're good.
you have to do the, we talked about the motion to accept the bid not to exceed 55. and then
Yes,
do part
that was
A
my
and B.
question.
Is that how it's
Yeah.
worded? Is that
Yeah,
how it-
and we accept the bid for 55, and I won't sign a contract. I won't move forward over the initial design phase without consulting the council. Okay. That's the motion. That's been my intention all along.
So
To accept the bid from Plan One Architects not to exceed $55,000 and to start the phase one, the schematic design phase, which would be $8,250. And what they put in, and we can stop and start at any time as we've already discussed. So that's where we're gonna start.
So I can call for the question.
Yes.
Okay, I'll call for the question.
All in favors, say
I
aye.
wanted discussion.
Okay,
Oh,
discussion. Okay,
I'm
please
done.
do. Go ahead.
How it is with me is I want the town to grow. I have tried and tried and tried. I beg and plead for this town to get involved, whether they like me or dislike me. Come down here and get involved. If I'm doing something wrong, come chew me out. We need to get this town moving. We've sat here for how long talking about $8,000 or $9,000
Right.
that we're going to spend right now. And we've got a town clerk, because of all this BS, that's saying he wants to step down. Well, I'm kind of thinking if he steps down and you guys allow it, I may go too.
No, you don't step down.
Oh, he's not stepping.
We need him.
We just need to work together. We just need to work together. That's all we gotta do is look at things honestly and work together.
We just got to stop this. I mean, if you're for growth, then let's frickin' grow. Bring stuff to the damn table instead of just bickering. I've asked, I've pleaded to bring something to the table. When everybody ran up here, meet the candidates. Oh, I'm going to work with this. I'm going to work with this. I want the town to grow. I'm going to do this and do this and do that. I haven't seen it. If you go back when I first ran, I've done exactly what I said. I told people I'd fight. I told people are going to try and stop me from making the town move forward. I'll tell you who the hell it is. If I'm doing something wrong, you come at me. I want people involved. I watch our videos and see who has done exactly what they said they would do. Because I guarantee I'm standing behind what I said. And now we need people to start doing what they said. Because I'm tired of freaking fighting. No, I won't step down. I'll keep fighting and I'll bring it to the people. But why am I the only one that begs and pleads people to come to the meetings and get involved? I'm the only one. I mean, I'm on the internet, I'm on everywhere. Hold us accountable. I don't say hold me accountable or just hold Ron accountable or hold him. Hold us accountable. If I screw up, chew my ass. But when other people screw up, chew their ass, tell them where you want. People are in a comfort zone. You know, we got more and more people. We have people here tonight I've never seen. He was upset because of smoke. Good, I'm glad you're here. Come again. I want new faces. The only way this town grows is by people getting involved. You're happy, you're sad, you're pissed off, come here and tell us. This town's not going to do a damn thing unless this town starts to wake up and hold us accountable and quit worrying about pissing off so-and-so because I've known them for so long. We do that, we're going to be like we've been for years. Get involved. Get involved. That's
No.
it. That's all I got.
Question been called for? All in favor? Accept Plan 1 architects bid, not to exceed $55,000. Stated on mayor's authorized to start phase 1, ready to 250. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Have we done the hotel feasibility study? Hotel feasibility study yet?
I think so.
I think that's the,
That's on the agenda.
no, this is, yeah, this should have been.
Excuse me.
We don't have this on the, I missed on the agenda.
Nope, we'll leave it. Amend it.
Is it pricing?
Yeah, good question.
We agree we can amend it now. And just put it on.
Yeah, if you want to put it here, I just wonder if it's something you could wait. It's all.
We can put this off to our next meeting.
Yeah, put it on.
We can put it off to our next meeting. Apologize for not getting this. I missed, we didn't have this on the agenda. What do we have next? Ambulance service. This is really gonna be Chris's. And it's, I don't know if you noticed in the newspaper, Fremont County has come to an agreement with Marnie's left the name of the new ambulance, but it's not AMR anymore, but they have a new service. In their agreement, they are not stationing the ambulance in Shoshoni.
Say that again, please.
I said they are not stationing an ambulance in Shoshoni.
Thank you.
I believe we want an ambulance in Shoshoni. I believe it might be able to save somebody's life. We have started the process, starting our own ambulance service. We have a MD online. You got to have that. If you're going to have an ambulance district, you got to have an MD. We have one lined up. We have several people that can teach the EMT. Chris's wife is one of them. She's a nurse that can teach EMTs. Chris came up with the idea that all the police officers receive EMT training. So they're usually the first ones on an accident anyway. We are researching if this county will not provide us an ambulance. I request that from the county commissioners. I plan to hit the next commissioner meeting with that request again. Now that this contract is in force, they have 11 ambulances. If they will not furnish us one, we've looked in the grants. There's grants available to buy an ambulance, maybe a used ambulance. I know there's a $50,000 grant available out there to look at. I think we will look at that. But I think for $40,000 each, I've been looking at ambulances for the last 3 months, seeing this handwriting on the wall of what wreck that we had here with that we may be able to get one for a grant. We're gonna research it. I've reached out to the WHAM. I'm on the legislative leadership committee of WHAM, and brought to the attention of the plight that Fremont County is having with our ambulance, and Rock Springs is having similar issues. I was told there's like 10 counties in Wyoming having this issue. To my understanding, there's not a mechanism to form a district like the senior, like the library district, the senior center district, the rec district. But in that last meeting I went to with the county commissioner, they said that they mentioned that the county attorney said there actually is a mechanism. But I've heard others complain that when the Wyoming drew up everything, there wasn't ambulances, and that wasn't their concern. Just like stormwater wasn't a concern. We just got that passed last year, a bill that I worked on with the state. But anyway, WHAM was going to look into that and see what there is, and if there isn't, they're going to work towards getting a bill passed where we could set up a special district and be able to fund it. The county may decide to provide us an ambulance if we ask for it, if we can man it. The police officers is one, and we hope a few citizens would also volunteer to do that. If we have our own ambulance, though, I know with AMR, like, none of us here could drive their ambulance. Legally, as far as the state's concerned, we could drive it, but we couldn't because of liability insurance, because you had to be an employee of AMR and you have to have certain training to do this. And, it's just like a firefighter. You have a fire truck sitting out there, and you won't have a farmer who's got experience driving trucks, whatever, but he doesn't have the right license to get on the fire truck. He can't drive the fire truck. The same thing. They wouldn't allow anybody, none of us to drive an ambulance. That was part of the things that hurt Du Bois, hurt volunteerism. Their regulations they had, that maybe we can get around some of that and get some volunteers back and get an ambulance in Shoshoni. I think that's fairly important. We plan to move forward and look at that. To see what our options. Don't know what our options are 100%, but we're moving forward to try to provide that service for our town, for our community. And as we learn more, we'll get more. But I do know that's something that Chris is another one of his pet projects. We're trying to, between him and his wife, trying to set that up. They had the contact with the doctor. They're again working as a team trying to put this together. And like I said, till the county came up, maybe they'll provide an ambulance, but we're working on it. We stand on our own 2 feet if we have to.
So basically then the county ain't the deal.
Yeah,
And then we're pursuing a first responder program, so it'll be more or less as it was when it was at its best.
Yes.
Where we had first responders here.
In Shoshoni.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for our town.
Sure, and they can meet halfway or whatever to do a patient transfer.
But they're still going to come to Shoshoni.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, right. But I think its priority was that when you say they're not going to supply, so it's no different.
No, they would stay. It's like,
so it's everything that what was this now. The way that it has been. So you call 911, they're going to send the Airbus.
Yeah.
Over here.
That's what I wanted from the fire department to say. What?
No.
Yeah, we call and say send a bird.
But the problem is that they have to have a backup ambulance or something because they're already on other calls, and then that's where the first responders are really vital. Oh. Sure.
Yeah,
well, yeah, Bob used to do it. Yeah.
Seems like you'd be good input on this.
180 hours. to become an EMT.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many of that, I don't think any of that counts as your riding, quote, ride-alongs before you get certified. See what else you need to know. Ambulances, used ones, after either 8 or 9 years old. Medicare does not pay for them, for the rides. Just like they have a little law about school buses after so many miles. Same thing with ambulances.
And my point was, or is, that when we had a robust EMS system here, that there was a lot of times that you guys had the patient packaged long before Riverton Ambulance ever got here.
We had our own bus.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you just.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we-
they just
we were
came
paid
over
to the
to
county.
Shoshoni. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you usually ran 3 on a crew because one, a lot of times in this town, you have too many, you have multiple victims, especially when you go to car wrecks and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, and you can get them, ambulances going to 2 different places. That used to happen out here a lot. One to go to Thermont, and the other to go to Riverton. So
Yes.
I'm looking forward to this happening because I think it will be a big improvement. I'm also getting old.
Well, you know,
I might have
that's
to go
that's
for a
another
ride.
thing I hate to, we're one of the oldest, age-wise, we're one of the oldest communities in the state of
In the
Wyoming.
state of
I
Wyoming.
think our average is around 52 years old, 51, 52 years old, average age of the citizen in Shoshone. Last sentence, that's the last word I got, you know, so. Hell, I think I'm middle-aged here. But, no, that's,
It's a
but
good deal.
I think that's something we need to look at. We don't have the answers yet, but we're working towards that. And I would just like to touch this as another one of Chris's projects. But Chris cares for this town. He cares. That's why he gets so upset. He works his ass off for this town. He works hard. We're transparent. He puts everything, finances up for everybody to review. He's not trying to hide money, hoodwink anybody. We're not trying to spend money. The approach, we do quarterly reports like a business. We were sort of forced to last year, but that's something that I can relate to, and Mike should be able to relate to. You look at your funding, and we adjusted our budget as funding came in, unanticipated revenues, give us opportunity to respond or not, and that's the way we did. I think he may have been insulted by something questioned, insult his integrity, because he works so hard. The find funding, chases grants, works hard, and we spent a lot of money, but we built more money. And I don't know what would give anybody the idea we're going to do anything different. We want to be opportunists. We want to, if there's a way for us to enhance our town, leverage our money, we need to spend our money wisely, and that's why some of the sewer projects were shut down, because of 50-50, and that's why past mayor did that. That exact same reason. That's the same reason we haven't moved forward. I've talked with our director of public works on prioritize. He's on a project. We have sewer line issue. Is our sewers failing? Do we need to put this on our radar now? The answer is no. And I listen to the town employees for advice. I listen to Chris. I listen to Buddy. I listen to Kathy. I listen to Mark. And we try to make proper decisions on business. I don't try to micromanage them, but we try to work together. on this, and then we try to, you know, you got, everybody in the council is welcome to come spend more time with me down at town hall if you want to. I'll welcome. You want to help me chase some grants? I mean, I can use it.
Joel, being in a small town like this, your mayor's what considered like a part-time, you come in, do your deal and everything else, correct? I mean, most of your mayors in towns this size.
I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
When do you come into work on average
I don't know.
in here?
7 a.m. minimum.
And when do you usually leave?
Whenever.
After I leave.
Okay, so you treat it like a full-time position.
Well, I have the time.
This isn't an attaboy. I just want people to realize the time he puts in.
Yes,
My name is Bob Streeter.
please.
Can we get back to business?
We're getting there. Thanks for the comment.
Anyways, where I was going with that is people are trying to move this town forward. I'm not saying no one else is not doing anything. I just noticed I've come through here and I've seen you here a whole hell of a lot earlier than 6 o'clock in the morning sometimes. And it
No,
happens.
there's a lot of people.
But what I'm saying is
a
this.
lot of people, citizens, everybody, councilman.
You're
everybody
putting a
wants-
lot of time in trying to make the town move forward. And a lot of people don't realize it. They don't know when you get here. And I just want people to realize
No, that's,
the time you're putting in, not just so you can go like this.
No.
It's people just, they need to know, just flat out, whether you like him or not. He's trying. He's putting in the time.
I know.
well, everybody's work, everybody's trying to do what's best. Everybody, whether we disagree or agree, everybody sitting here is trying to do best for the town of Shoshone. We may have different visions, but that's what
noticed it too, Bo.
That's what we're
I see
doing.
what he's down here. I just figured he'd gone nuts.
No.
I can honestly say, I don't know that it's been that much.
But all the participation we're getting from the town, that's what's pushing us. That's what's getting us.
That's exactly what
That's
it
what's
is.
getting done.
Seeing everybody showing up, we get in full town halls, gets you motivated.
That's the citizens. So let's move forward. Let's move forward.
So is there a vote or anything on this? So just information?
Oh, no, I'm just
Okay,
information. I just,
I didn't know where we were at.
yeah, no, it's just information. I don't have enough information to move forward. I will keep the council and the citizens aware of what we're doing on the ambulances, you know, and if you don't think we need one, be sure to tell us, because I got plenty of other things to do if we don't need to go. But that's our goal, and once I can figure out what it, you know, besides blood, sweat, and tears, and the labor, if it's gonna cost the town money, what it's gonna do, I'll be bringing it to you as soon as I get some help. But I'm working towards the end. Where we at?
There's stuff there.
I'm gonna read this. Shoshone PD responded to 36 calls for service in the month of May and reported 1 medical emergency, 3 assist local agencies. Shoshone PD issued 206 citations in the month of May as compared to 63 in May of 2020. Average speed stop was for 45 miles an hour. 45 miles an hour, I do not think, we're not a speed trap. We're speeding through our darn town. I agree. Slow down. Community patrols continued to be a priority, are now extended into evening, nights, and 7 days a week. We have 3 full-time patrolmen, and we have a part-time patrolman working also, not counting our SRO officer. Theft of items, left unsecured items out, left outside of residence is increasing. Be aware or report of any suspicious activity immediately. Curfew is being enforced. As a reminder, after midnight hours, those under 18 will be subject to issuance of citation. Town cleanup and weeds will be enforced beginning immediately, including warnings up to citation. As a reminder, failure to clean up following a notification can result in town conducting it and a fee charge in addition to any citations issued. That's all we have for the, there again, we're getting good comments. I'm getting good comments on our police force. Just had a comment from a lady that was actually picked up by Kevin Green, our part-time police officer.
Oh, our part-time is Jeff Lee Green.
Yeah, Jeff Lee Green. Anyway, commented on what a pleasant individual he was. Real good. It's I think their demeanor is pretty good. You know, some people ain't gonna like getting picked up, though. So it isn't all loves and kisses.
They are really visible. I've noticed. I even see them. I don't know what's going on in the alley behind my house, but there must be a person of interest. Maybe it's me. Turn up and down that thing all the time.
The gentleman that drives the black pickup is very visible.
Yes.
He patrols this man.
That's the, yes. Yeah, that's the long arm of the law, Matt Smith. But he's, but that's the goal, not just up here writing tickets, but to protect citizens and be visible on the side streets. Community policing, that's what they call it.
Excellent.
And that was when Chris and I, when he was working part-time, that's what we talked about. And that's, but anyway, we got him because of the lake, Boyson Lake. Chris Cheney got him down there and got fishing. He loves to go fishing. So, but anyway, that was, they're doing a good job. Library report. Patrons last month, 161 total. Has 91 patrons. The library computer 37, storytelling 25, visitor center 5, DVDs 3. Revenue was $435.62 for the month. 310 was book sale, late fees $15.91, $4 for copies, donations of $105.59. Donated hours, Kathy Blair, 25.5 hours.
Thank you, Kathy.
Stan and Kathy Soul donated audiobooks, a bunch of audiobooks. Jay Merritt donated some books. Ken Kundle made a coffee donation. We have a lot of people involved, and Melissa wants to thank everybody for their participation to help them. Love to get into one building because Melissa, the plan forward, if we get into one building, she can divide her time easier if we're all together, because we have plenty of things that she can do to help out town hall to, sort of split because of the new design where we put, you can be able to watch the library and be a part of town, helps town clerk too. I sort of got that idea when I went to Rock River and looked at their library. So, anyway, that's what I have. What else we have? Kathy?
Public Works.
Public Works. Mr. Boyle.
Yeah, pretty close.
Past your bedtime, bud.
Yeah, I know, I'm gonna make my report short. First of all, I want to apologize for the incident down there, and that's, where we'll let it be, but I do apologize. Second of all, we were talking about the sewers, and just like Joel said, when it was done, it was prior to when I started here, it was prioritized. 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2 priorities have been done. The third priority was lower on the list. No, it has not been done. I have not had issues with them, so just so that's clear. The other thing was, we're getting our fence up at the park down here, trying to get it before this weekend for the tractor show, chamber. Yes, you guys will be able to get water. We've been busy with that. It froze up in that little pre-fabbed little bathroom. We had to do a bunch of replumbing, but it's done. You'll have water. So, no, no, it was before winter hit, but anyway, it's fixed. The bathrooms are open, there'll be water for you. The signs, I did go out, speak with Mike about some of the logs he had out there. We picked them out. Got it located. That we're doing their locates. We say we got the auger doing the fence right now. Jump out there. Here and there. I can't promise when them signs will be up, but soon. We did a sanitary survey, which Jim left, but there was some things that Jim had pointed out during the water study that, needed to be addressed. EPA addressed them. It's not that we're in big trouble. They got their recommendations. Few things they'd like to see changed, which Jim hit on some of them. So it's about all I got. Pretty short, but go ahead.
Our conversation yesterday about the sidewalk on the highway, the state stuff is a trip hazard. How do you want to approach the state on that sidewalk now?
I can talk to Chad.
Okay.
Like I say, it's in the right of way, and usually without the state's permission, you don't do nothing in the state right of way. So,
when you come off the highway, going to the park, plaza, there's places this high, there's a chunk of cement this high.
One of them
I'm afraid that somebody's gonna turn out and get hurt, and then turn around and say, that's the town's property, it's their park.
It was where a stairwell came down from Second Street into the old shop. Which had been filled in. But it does have a lip on it. So,
Yeah, it's state issue, so that's something that we should be aware of.
Get clarified, yes.
And with me ending it, I do want to say Chris has helped my department out a lot. I've gotten a grader. I've gotten a new truck, working on an excavator and a skid steer. So I gotta say, the guy, I can go into his office and say, man, this is broke down. Well, let's see what we can do. So he to me, he's done a great job for our department, so hopefully he, decides to come back. But, and with me, I want to say, it's a lot easier to work together than against each other. You say, me and Joel kind of butted heads in the beginning, and we finally decided, you know what, work our differences, let's try to work together. And it's too bad tempers blew tonight, but hey,
I know it's late, Bud, but you're one of those guys that cares too.
Oh, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
I've seen in the 30 years I've known you or whatever it is, times when you care so much that things went south quickly.
Right.
But got resolved quickly. And I hope that's
And
what's
I
happened
hope-
tonight.
I
I
hope
hope
it
that
does.
was just something that just kind of was stacking up, and I'm gonna talk to Chris tomorrow because he's not quitting.
I've been set
Thank
where he
you.
was at before, so I know where he's coming from, but like I say, I do gotta say, he's done wonders for the maintenance department considerably. I've been here 11, 12 years now. It's taken that long to get that stuff, so I'm not bad mouthing anybody prior or anything. I'm just saying he's easy to work with,
Yes, he is.
for me, so.
We all do. Yeah.
So anyway, let's all work together. I prefer to work with everybody, and if we got differences, let's discuss it. Don't.
That's what he's saying.
What's that?
I said, we need to work together, but you prefer to work with Chris. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I do.
Thanks.
All I got, unless you guys got something for me.
Thanks, buddy.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to I'm gonna cut this short. I just
touch base on the Citizens of the Year. Didn't get publicized. There's some confusion of the Town Citizen of the Year and the Mason Citizen of the Year. They thought it was already given and people weren't voting. I'm gonna extend that make an executive decision to extend that one more week. And our next council meeting will announce the Citizen of the Year and do something. That's my intentions. Anybody got any better ideas? Or there was some, it got very sparse response on that. Maybe we'll get the word out a little better. So, other than that, is there any questions from the audience or comment?
I want to say one thing. I had a person send me a message on how they could get further involved with things that are going on in Shoshoni when they live just out of city limits. I told them I'd look into it. Wyoming state law, you have to live in city limits to vote. I mean, you can have I want them to come in and say, hey, you know, we're part of this community and we think this is good and this is bad and so on and so forth. But it's not just with people that want to come vote in the surrounding areas. It's also with us. We have to live in town. Joel's mayor, councilman, we have to live here. We have to live in city limits. Yeah, but what I'm saying is in order to even get here, you have to live in town. If you want to vote, you have to be in town, you have to be in town limits. Nothing I can do to change that. That's just Wyoming state law. So I just wanted to answer it and I did it here instead of just messaging her back just in case people need to know that. So that's all I had.
Anybody else have anything? Anything from the audience?
I would just encourage everybody, irregardless of whether you go to the chamber activities or the tractor show, but get out on the weekend and support the town.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot one thing. Excuse me. Speaking of tractor show, the library is got some things going on also during this weekend during the tractor show. There's going to be an ice cream and paint. Have you ever heard of the famous rock Leverite we have in Wyoming? So we have some samples of Leverite at the library, and people are going to be encouraged to come down and paint something on them. Then they're going to and during the summer these precious Leverite stones are going to be placed around town, I guess, for people to look for, sort of like a scavenger hunt. There's going to be some prizes given at the end for that. They're hoping to get some adults or kids, whoever, to come and do that. They're going to furnish ice. There's going to be ice cream there. And there's also, I thought we had something else for the weekend, but I don't see it listed. I do know we have some storytellers coming, but that may not be this weekend. Maybe next. I don't have a flyer in front of me.
Yeah. Gary mentioned something about, wasn't there cowboy poets or something? Or?
Well, no, we have something else. Yes.
Okay.
Is that going to be this weekend?
Okay.
That's Saturday from what time? 2 o'clock. And Tom O'Day and what's his female counterpart. But if you ever listen to them, that's worth coming to listen to. That's they tell stories about the Old West, and that's very interesting. No cover charge, donations are accepted, but you have Tom Day and I forget. But anyway, that's this week. That's going to be this weekend, and get anybody gets a chance to come and see that, because that's well worth it. I think. Anything else from the audience?
I have a motion to adjourn, none being.
So moved.
Second.
Then move and second, we adjourn. Any further discussion, none being. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved unanimously at
10:32.
10:32.
Like.
It was your turn. I did it last time. It was your turn. I did it last time.
You were right, Bob, I needed to move along. Thank you.
I don't know how to shut.
I just closed it.
I don't know. I seen some hand raised, but I don't know how to answer.
So if you've got questions.
These are your next newsletter.
Okay.
If you're here, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, it wouldn't hurt my
Well, I plan on being here.
My question.
Oh, okay, yes, sir.
Money in purpose.
I don't have an issue with it at all. Sure as heck wouldn't hurt anything.
I think that could be addressed. We are sorry of the water. When all that was funding, let's come from this. That's what we will require. So we can explain to people that we have no good. And so how we're spending the money, having them realize it's not just coming from that one big pot. Yeah. Here, so when they see us spending, $1 million on a water system. And then also you say you're spending $500,000 on town hall. They need to realize it comes from bigger than source.
Yeah.
That's everything else. I think I.
Better
Better
communicate.
That goes on what you told me. It's not, I'm a businessman that has one big pond.
Yeah.
Versus pond that has
You're still recording.